All right, welcome everybody to coverage of the Mind Sports Olympiad Scrabble main event.
Hello, welcome everyone.
Yes, I am Will Anderson, and I'm here with Sumbul Siddiqui. Good evening, Sumbul, for you, I guess, right?
Yes, nearly good night, but yes, good evening. What time is it for you?
It is afternoon here in the East Coast of the U.S., and we have players in today's event from all over the world. So it's morning, night, evening for our players in today's event, and we are joining midway through. We're going to bring you the later third, the climactic last few rounds of our Scrabble main event. And Sumbul will talk a little bit about what we saw yesterday. We had a Scrabble broadcast yesterday that was really amazing, wouldn't you say?
Yes, I think the speed Scrabble won my heart, and it was so interesting to watch. It was like, I was never a fan of it because I thought 5-minute games, not the best thing. But when you're playing a tournament and when you're watching like 70, 60 people playing against each other, it was just, I would say, fantastic. I loved it. What about you?
Yeah, I just thought it was, the pacing of it was just totally adrenaline rush from start to finish. Could barely get in a word edgewise as the players were just playing at a lightning pace. But I think right now we're basically in the midst of round 8. Many round 8 games may have started, but we are going to be bringing you for sure coverage of rounds 9 through 12. So let's just take a look at the rules here of the Scrabble main event. You can see that unlike yesterday, we have 15 minutes per player, which is a lot more than 5. I think you'll find very quickly that the players are going to have time to think, and some moves they're going to have a lot of time to contemplate very deeply, do some calculations. Sumbul, do you have what's your thought on how 15 minutes compares to 5 as a tournament format?
I think 15 minutes would feel like 50 minutes compared to 5 minutes yesterday.
Yes.
People, especially we saw some people struggling on certain moves. Now they can take that time, use that time very wisely, and make sure they make the right decisions. Strategy is going to kick in. All the things we talked about yesterday are going to be kicking in today. So it's going to be different from yesterday, but I hope it's going to be as exciting as yesterday.
Oh, I have no doubt it will be. I've already taken a peek at the standings, which we'll get to in just a minute, and it's a lot of the usual suspects of really great Scrabble players that we've seen over the years. So just to finish off with the rules, a lot of similar rules to yesterday. We still have the 1 minute of overtime after 15 minutes of play. You incur a 10-point penalty for using that minute of overtime, and once that minute is elapsed, that's it. You forfeit the game, so you have to be very careful once you reach your overtime. The lexicon in use is CSW, the International Lexicon. We're playing 12 rounds today. Of course, we are bringing you coverage of rounds 9 through 12. We are at round 8 right now in the main event. So 7 rounds for sure have been finished, and round 8 is in progress right now. And most importantly, we have the single challenge rule, which is no penalty for a failed challenge. Sumbul, do you have any thoughts about how that's going to be different from yesterday with that challenge rule?
I to be honest, I like single challenge, right? And I think that's the way it should be. 5 more when you get that 5-point penalty. That is good Scrabble. That is strict Scrabble. But I prefer single challenge. What about you? Especially over void challenge.
Yeah, so yesterday we used the void challenge rule, as you alluded to, which means you literally cannot put a phony word on the board. You can't put a word that's not in the dictionary down. It will just reject it and say, try again. Today, if any players put words on the board that are not in the dictionary, they won't be prevented from doing so, and their opponent will be allowed to challenge that word without penalty. So anytime a player has any doubt about the validity of a word, they should challenge it without question. There's no penalty for doing so. And that's a rule that I think is very friendly to newcomers that are often reluctant to challenge because they defer to people who have been playing longer about what's a word and what's not. But here you've got every incentive to challenge if you want to, and I think that's nice for an event like this that has players of many, many skill levels across the spectrum.
Definitely.
Okay, so let's have a look at the standings. Here's where we stand after 7 rounds of play. yesterday, one of our 3 finalists in the Speed Scrabble event, Olaya Kabir, whose screen name Black Knight on the Scrabble platform we're using, ISC, he is in first place at 7-0 through 7 rounds. And Irish player Fergal Weatherhead in second at 6-1, and we have several other players at 6-1 behind those 2. So it's we do have our winner of the Speed Scrabble event, Adegboyega Akintokun, in 8th place, still lurking with several rounds to go. But right now, Olaya Kabir leading the pack with a perfect 7-0 record. And a great spread of 972. So, yeah, Sumbul, what were your thoughts on when we watched those players play yesterday? I was very impressed by Olaya. What did you think of his play?
Yes, like I said, I've seen him playing live at Ilfa tournament, and it's just so amazing to watch him. The way he thinks, the way he uses his words, especially the letters he has on his racks. It's just wow. However, I think today, a game between Olaya Kabir and Adegboyega would be very different to yesterday, and I would love to watch one. So we can like compare both the games and see like how different the time can actually affect the game.
Yeah, that will be very interesting to see some of those players from yesterday competing with a little bit more time. So I am seeing now that the pairings for round 9 are up, and obviously we've got lots and lots and lots of players. You see, it was just a huge entry list. So kudos again to our event organizers and directors, Chris Harrison. I'm not sure. I think Wayne Kelly also reprising his role yesterday as event co-director. So really a huge thanks to those 2 guys for making this event run so smoothly. And let's see who Olaya is playing. It looks like Olaya is playing Fergal Weatherhead. So that would be a great matchup between 2 players who are in first and second right now. So maybe we will tune into that matchup. I think that's a great one to start as things are tightening up at the top here. Again, we're coming in the middle of things at round 9. So we've had 8 rounds of action already. So we're getting the good stuff at the very, very end.
And yesterday, we were talking about commitment from players like Vasim and all the players who are awake to play that tournament in the middle of the night. But today I actually was reading on Facebook that it's Matthew Pinner's birthday, and he actually rescheduled his birthday plans just to play in this tournament.
Awesome. That is a true Scrabble player decision right there. Even on your birthday, the thing you would like to do most is playing Scrabble, of course. So that's
I actually have
surprising.
another news as well.
Yes.
Nigel, because I managed to send him the links and everything, he actually did watch some of our live stream yesterday. I was like, yes,
that's
success.
Great. That's great. Hopefully he enjoyed it. Obviously, we're trying to do better and better with our online coverage of Scrabble. So if ever Nigel gives us the seal of approval, we'll know we're doing a good job.
Yeah.
So I'm just having a look here at the last game that was completed between Olaya Kabir and his opponent, who, let's see if we can figure out who that is. Dynamite. Not seeing who that is, but that's another player here. I bet we can find it by looking at the list here. It's Khalil Adedeji, who, let's see, he must have been doing well if he got a chance to play Olaya. And he's currently in 12th place. So he had a matchup with the top dog, Olaya Kabir, and Olaya was victorious, obviously, because he has won every game so far. So we'll just cut back, and you can see Khalil there in 12th place. He is going to drop a bit further down after losing his game to Olaya, who moves to 8-0. So I wonder if Fergal Weatherhead won his previous match, if we can find that out, which I will in just a second. We'll see whether our opponents are 8-0 and 7-1, or maybe something different from that. Let me just have a look. It looks like Fergal is still playing his game against Wasim Khatri. That's kind of a nice game to watch. So maybe we'll see whether our round 9 game that we'd like to tune into, we're going to see, it looks right here in this game. You see, we watched actually a lot of Wasim Khatri yesterday. He was another one of our finalists, right, Sumbul?
Yeah. Didn't he finish 3rd yesterday? He
did, yes. Yeah. He made it into the 3-person playoff and then was just edged out in 2 games he played against Olaya and Adegboyega. So it looks like Wasim is he seems to be pretty firmly in command in this game as he plays Dripped. Fergal does, however, have a bingo of Carlines to the C at the top of the board. That's a really nice play, but Wasim has the second blank and a Q and a U to go with it, so it looks to me like he should have no issues pulling away from Fergal in the endgame, which means that our matchup between Olaya and Fergal will be between 8-0 Olaya Kabir. And I'm sorry, yes, I'm watching on my main account now. I switched from yesterday. That's totally my fault, Sumbul.
That's okay, don't worry.
Wanderer 15, my account on ISC, as opposed to the other one I was using yesterday. Okay. That's totally my fault. But yes, so we're going to have, as I said, 8-0 Olaya versus 6-2 Fergal on tap as soon as this game finishes up. So, yeah, let's see. What can we see for...
It's getting close between Fergal and Wasim. 294, 376.
But the bag is empty, so I think that's going to be too little too late for Fergal. If he had drawn the possibility of a bingo there, maybe he could have at least threatened something, but this is not a great board for it. The only place to really play a bingo would have been through this T of Dripped, which... with the X on that rack for Fergal, very unlikely to see a bingo go down. Oh, wow. Seeing that an unbelievable bingo of Quixotree was playable to the T of Dripped. Thank you for that, Alec. But yeah, that's pretty amazing, but it's all academic as Wasim is going to wrap up this game. So... yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be 4 rounds of really intense action to finish this off. And today we are not going to have a playoff. Do you have any thoughts on how that makes things different today, Sumbul? No playoff today, just the 12 rounds.
I think personally playoffs make think easier. Like you get that adrenaline rush. You feel that you're in there. Especially people watching as well. Like yesterday, it was exciting. However, the last 3 games can be seen as knockoff as well. So that makes a totally different thing. But yeah, either way, I'm gonna enjoy it today.
Yeah, it's tough sometimes when you fight really hard in a tournament and things boil down to just a 1-game playoff or something like that. So much can happen in just 1 game of Scrabble, where sometimes you would wish that the totality of the event would decide it. And I totally see both ways. Sometimes the fun of a playoff is simply that it adds a little bit of a randomness element and some fun element. I know that there, for example, a player like Nigel probably would not favor playoffs because he is just such a talented and impressive player that if you give him 30 games or 12 games or however many games to work with, he's probably going to come out on top. But in a playoff, anything can happen. So it's a very different feel. So we'll see how it goes. Olaya Kabir is certainly in strong position right now with an 8-0 record. He's just got to keep winning games, and he will continue to stay in first place. So we'll bring you that matchup soon. Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying that he's been doing well, and I think today, watching the last 4 rounds and commentating on them, I am very excited. Like my heart is actually pounding that yes, this is going to be one heck of a ride.
And it's going to allow us to do a little bit more analysis of these positions because the players are not going to feel that same pressure to get their next move on the board so quickly. They've got some time to work with. And it's going to allow us to show you, the viewers, that really these players are so good that they're thinking so deeply about these positions, it'll be very exciting for us to try to make that accessible to viewers who may not be as familiar with the strategy that goes into every game of Scrabble. So we're both very excited about that for sure.
Yes, definitely.
So I'm seeing both of the players that will be watching have completed their games now, and as soon as that next game gets going, we'll be off to the races and bringing you that game. We can pop over to some other games in the meantime. I know that there are a couple other players that are streaming today as well, their end of the games. We can check in with one of those players, Ben Schoenbrunn, and see how he's doing in his game. It looks like he's doing well. He's holding on to not quite an 80-point lead. And he's just apparently made a very blocky play of bets right here. Wow, look at that. Doesn't score that well. But it blocks, and not quite well enough does it block, because a bingo still goes down of Gelidist through that S. Wow, that's pretty impressive. Sumbul, do you think when you play something like bets, you feel like, oh, I must be blocking everything, but then a bingo goes down? Disappointing, right?
Very, and I think this is just one of those moves that I haven't played much. I go like, okay, I want to block the board, I want to do this, but then the way I calculate things, and of course it's different from everyone else, it's like, is it worth it? Should I keep the game open because it's going to be in my favor the next 5 tiles I pick out of the bag, or 3 or 4, whatever, and using the S especially. So what do you think? Do you do this like often?
Well, that's a tricky move. It does depend. You can see from Benji's racks right there, Benji with the blue tiles on the left. You can see he has a ton of consonants, and he may have had another S as well. You can see he has one on his rack currently right here. It's very possible that he had a second one, and when you have 2 S's, they aren't as important to hold on to, because as we were talking about yesterday, every tile has its own attributes, and when you have one S, it gives you that ability to hook onto any nouns or verbs that are on the board. And when you have a second S, that's not adding to your ability to do that. You still have one. So as long as you have one S, you still have that ability to hook onto stuff. So he may have used his S there because he had a second one, and he felt that by placing it out in space, he was going to prevent 7-letter words from playing with overlaps. But amazingly, the king, I wonder if that's Emmanuel King, I think. Let's see. We can look at the standings, and I'll tell you which player that is in just a second. It is Emmanuel King, who is a strong player in his own right. He made a great overlapping play despite Benji's attempts to block. So our feature game between Olaya and Fergal, still not quite underway, probably because there are still games like this that have yet to wrap up in round 8. So that's a tough move there. So Ben played Swept and left ALL on his rack. And Emmanuel plays Tonk, leaving a V, and I think that's still easily going to be enough for Ben to go out with ALL and sneak ahead of Emmanuel in a really close game here. And there it is. There's an outplay of Tall for 4 points. He's currently down by 1, but that V on Emmanuel's rack is going to flip over to Ben and give him a narrow win. Wow, exciting game there. So that is a win for Ben Schoenbrunn, who I saw in the standings doing pretty well. If we just cut back to that, I think he was in the top group. Let me just see if that's true. Yes, he was in 11th place, and that win is going to pop him up into the group of players who are now 6-2.
Exciting.
So, yeah, you see the portraits shifting places as the directors enter in their results. Sumbul, one of my favorite things about watching a tournament in online coverage is this screen where you see the portraits for each player, or not portrait, but little squares for each player moving up and down as games are completed. Do you enjoy that as well?
I love it. To be honest, I remember that was King's Cup last year, and after day one, not after day one, just before the last game on day one, I was on second position, and as soon as my results went in, I went from like second position all the way down to 16th position for some reason,
Yes,
and I
yes.
was like, oh, that was devastating. But it's good to sometimes just watch them going up and down.
Yes, always fun to watch yourself moving up and never fun to watch yourself flying down in the wrong direction. That's
Oh
just how
yes.
it goes. That's Scrabble for you. So, all right, we've got our game ready. So, Olaya Kabir, Black Knight, going first in this game. He plays Gyro for 16, and Fergal has drawn the blank, but he has a V and a W to go with it, which is not ideal. And can you spot there's a bingo? Any viewers, I'll just wait a minute before I announce it, but there is a cool bingo here that Olaya should be able to play.
I think I might know this.
Yes, we'll just wait a beat longer. So there, I believe that fell list is a word. And that would play in two spots. So there it comes down. Great play by Olaya. He could have played it with the S hooking onto Gyro right there, or he could have played it hooking the T onto Woe as well if he chose. So a couple different choices. I think it's totally fine. Fergal draws the Q and he has to dump it really quickly. Always disappointing, right, Sumbul, to see the Q.
Very. Very.
So unless you've got a nice U with it, it's always an impediment to draw that Q. I think a lot of people... Oh, beautiful play there. Look at the play that Olaya just made. That's really nice. Agarai with 4 overlapping plays to the triple word score. That's just a lovely play. That's a lot of the advice that we give, Sumbul, to new players is learning your 2-letter words and getting really comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And you can see why with that move, wouldn't you say?
No, exactly. So even when I am promoting the game, especially when I go to schools, the first thing I do is tell all the kids to make sure that they know about the 2-letter word list. That's the most important list you have to memorize in order to play this game. It can be a bit challenging for them because, of course, at first they go like, oh, it doesn't make any sense, especially with the definitions and whatnot. But once they start playing Scrabble, they get a hang of it and they go like, wow, this is really useful.
Yeah, and you can see how important it is. It just knowing those 2-letter words. I mean, it's not every day that you see a word like agarai be played, but assuming you do know words like that, knowing your 2-letter words really opens up the possibility to play those words in places that you might not expect to be able to normally.
Exactly.
So. Fergal plays Lovat for 24. So again, a pattern that you're going to notice watching these players play, as soon as they draw the V or as soon as they draw the W, you're going to see those tiles come onto the board nearly immediately every time. Because players at this level have a great understanding of which letters are good for playing 7 and 8-letter words or scoring plays and which letters aren't so good. And Sumbul, we saw this yesterday a lot with players drawing V's and W's and U's and very effectively, deploying them immediately, getting those tiles off their rack. Do you agree?
No, yes, yeah. I think yesterday we were seeing a whole new format. Today is a bit more like Scrabble. So I think people would be trying to get rid of them rather than, just quickly playing and scoring. So yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to watch Olaya again. And he's playing differently from what we saw yesterday. So
yes, for sure. Both players are still playing at relatively fast pace, but you can see we started with 15 minutes on our clocks, and both players are just getting down into the 12-minute range. Yesterday, those games would be in time pressure. Beautiful play by Fergal right there. What can you say about that? Oh, that is tremendous.
Now that is something you study 8s for. You play one of those moves and you go like, now I have to study those 8s. Now I have to study those 7s, and the hooks and just adding another letter to the 7. But wow,
Yeah, Acrodont is just a very, very impressive play there for sure. That scores 86 points for Fergal with his blank. So Fergal's had that blank for a number of turns, and he was able to play it to a triple word score at the top of the board, making the blank an O. Just a beautiful find right there. A lot of these dont words, as you would expect, have to do with teeth and dentition. So I think that's one of those words that's... has to do with some type of creature and what type of teeth they have, I believe. Though, again, don't quote me on that. I messed up some definitions yesterday. So, yes. So, despite that bingo, Olaya is still ahead by 40 points. You see him on your screen with the blue tiles, Black Knight, Fergal, Sawari in the red tiles on the bottom part of the scoring area. So yes, this is...
I was just wondering that basically yesterday when we saw like someone being 100 points ahead, they were able to catch up because of the speed they were playing it, just quickly playing it, usually the first word that would come to their mind, or just quickly analyzing and playing them. Today, these 40 points will mean a lot. Like, with the strategy coming in, I think that would make a big difference compared to yesterday.
That is very true. It'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. It's totally the case that when you're playing faster, it could be that you can rely more on your opponent to potentially make mistakes that let you back into the game that they might not make in a slower paced game where they have a lot of time to think. So that's totally possible. I hadn't thought about it that way. So we see Olaya play Haiku, getting rid of his U and K, scoring 34 points right there in the middle of the board. But Fergal responding with Jeté for 53 points right there on top of Wems. So the players are trading heavy scoring plays here, as now Olaya plays Kedge to the triple for 36 points. He's still only up by a little bit more than 50, and as we know, a bingo giving 50 bonus points would erase that deficit for Fergal. So we'll see if he's able to get one down. Looking at his rack, he doesn't look very close to bingoing here, Sumbul. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's not close to bingoing, but I think with the Z, he might be able to score some points. Probably not in this move, but in the next move if he sets it up. Not sure where he's going to do that, but I'm actually intrigued to see what he's going to do, because this is out of my league, I would say.
Well, I'm certainly not seeing a great spot either, so I'm not sure it has to do with you being out of your league. I think it has to do with this is just not a great board to score very well with the Z. I mean, the best spot that you can see would just be playing Zag in that area, and that is 33. Go ahead.
Sorry. Would you play something like GUV just to get rid of the V and the U together?
That could be a better play than Zag, and that really is an instructive idea. That's a good idea to play Gov here, and the reasoning that Fergal would do that is simply because as you said, the U and the V are so poor for playing bingos. The Z at least has a little bit of bingo potential, but could easily become a great score for Fergal on his next play, which maybe then he could follow up with a bingo. Whereas holding on to the U and the V together basically guarantees that he won't be able to play a bingo anytime soon. I'm wondering if maybe there's I don't think there's any way to set your Z up, right? Like if you could make a play that you could just put your A in this particular spot next to Agarai and then be able to play a Z play there, but there's no real words that fit using with the letters that Fergal leaves over after a play like that. So I'm not sure what he's going to do. Your suggestion of Gov also has the benefit of, given that Fergal is trailing by over 50 points in the game, it might be nice to see Gov go down, because now he's threatening a spot to play an S. Okay, he goes with Zag instead, which is hard to really find fault with, and I think Olaya is going to bingo very quickly here with Miniated through the E of Kedge is my prediction. Olaya has shown, I think you'll agree, Sumbul, he showed yesterday that he has great word knowledge and finds his words very quickly.
Yes, I think that's what he's good at. And yesterday, nearly winning that event was because he is really good and he knows the words and he can quickly spot them. So, like we said, Gov actually would have blocked that. So that would have been very interesting to see if he played Gov.
That's true. That is, I guess, a hidden attribute of Gov is that it sometimes might block plays through the E of Kedge if he feels that Olaya is a threat to bingo there. But given that Fergal is the one who was trailing in the game, I think it makes some sense for him to leave that spot open and hope that he could just get there before Olaya. But it turns out Olaya has the bingo and he goes up by a very solid margin right here. It looks like 86, I think. So a very strong lead here for Olaya Kabir, and he is in good standing to potentially run his record to 9-0. Wow, that is really impressive. It's very difficult to win 9 games of Scrabble in a row against any opponent, let alone the caliber that we're seeing in this event, Sumbul. Do you agree with that?
No. I think winning, just keep on winning. It builds up the pressure as well. Like internally, you are like in pressure by yourself. Like that happens to me. If I start winning, I go like, oh my god, one game and I'm gonna pop down in the standings and stuff. So it kind of intimidates me, but I don't know how he's keeping that up.
Well, I think it intimidates. I think everybody gets a little bit nervous as you start to pile on the wins of, oh my God, the nerves start to kick in because you feel like at some point a losing streak could be coming around the corner at any time. And as you keep winning, it feels like it's likelier that more and more likely that eventually that losing streak is going to come and hit you, but it's really not. You just have to stay the course and play each turn, each game as it comes and not even worry about that stuff. Much easier said than done.
Much easier, definitely.
So let's see. We've seen a couple plays go down. Fergal plays Paya, an obscure word, up in the top right corner for 31 points. Olaya with a ton of vowels plays ire there. Olaya is definitely a threat to bingo again. I saw that he had another S, which is always great for your chances of bingoing. Although the S does, in a vacuum, an S is a great tile for bingoing, but Sumbul, do you think the S is as good as usual on this particular board as it is on some boards?
On some boards, and I think on most of the boards, I think it would prove very useful. However, in this board, it can become a problem. I'm not sure. He can probably use it to score somewhere else and try to fish for letters that would fit on this board. What would you say?
Yeah, I just think I agree that maybe the S is a little bit better for scoring than bingoing here, because whenever you have an S, you're looking for words that you can pluralize to fit a bingo down. So EE is this archaic Scottish word that I think refers to your eyes. And I don't think that takes an S, so there's no possibility of going here. And then there's no room to fit haikus on the board. There's just not enough space there, so that's not going to work. There's really nowhere else that an S can go where you can play a 7-letter word ending in S. So normally you love to see an S on your rack, but it's not as easy. Whereas, just imagine for a second that there was a word, let's say from the D to the double word score, that you could put an S on. That would allow many, many more bingos to go down. Okay, so we see Valuer be played. That's nice through ALU.
It takes the S, so
yes,
I think that would
exactly. That's exactly what we're talking about, where now you can see a place where an S would actually fit, although it would have to be in the early part of the word as opposed to the end of a word, where you usually do see an S, where an S is a part of a word. When a word contains an S, it's often the last letter of that word, just because it's a plural. So we'll see what happens here. Fergal isn't that far behind. His chances were grim, but they're not as bad as they were a couple turns ago.
I think it would be nice to see what he picked up. I think that would be a game changer as well.
Absolutely.
An I or an A or even a blank could change the game at this point.
Yes, that blank, which, as we know from watching many, many games of Scrabble, you see it at the bottom of your screen. The blank, to these experienced players who know so many 7 and 8 letter words, the blank is the most valuable tile in the set. To a newer player, a blank may not be as valuable because, again, it is worth 0 points. So if you don't know very many or have the ability yet to see 7 and 8 letter words, the blank isn't quite as valuable as some of those other letters like the Z, the X, and the S. But to these players, the blank is like gold. You know, when you see a blank, describe that feeling, Sumbul, when you pick your tiles and you turn one over and you see a blank. What is that like?
I'm like internally blushing. Like, I don't know how to explain that. That's how I feel. I personally feel like, oh God, this is my moment. Even though sometimes it just doesn't work out, but picking that blank out, it makes you feel better. I don't know about you, but it does make me feel better.
It's a good feeling for sure. I've tried to get to the point where I don't have a reaction to any tiles that I pick. It's easier said than done. We see a nice play there of a fresh. So that scored 32 for Olaya, running his lead back up to almost 90 points. And just in time, too, because I see that there will be bingos here.
Yes, and I think giving that hook as well for S and H. So
yeah, for sure.
Nice to see what he plays.
So here's the thing: Fergal is down by 90 points, and he can play a bingo like Sunnier in this spot, or Unrisen on the other. Or sorry, no, he can't play Unrisen. He could play Unrisen in the same spot. I was thinking maybe he has In Turns. How about that? So he could play something like In Turns on the other side of a fresh. Instead, he plays Earnings for 67. The issue with a play like that, though, is there were exactly 7 tiles in the bag. So by playing a bingo there, he's created a situation where now Olaya is going to be able to look at the letters that he knows Fergal has. He is seeing what we're seeing right now at the bottom of your screen. He's seeing AINOOXY, and he's going to be able to plan out very precisely what are my opponent's best plays here and how can I block those. So it's possible in those situations when there are 7 tiles in the bag and you have a bingo playable, it's possible that the better option for Fergal there may have been to pass up the bingo there and try to bingo again later on, and catch Olaya with some tiles. It was a tricky situation there.
I think even this is a tricky situation. Even though Olaya knows what Fergal has, it's a bit more complicated here because what Olaya has, can he really block the X or the Y and stop Fergal from scoring?
That's true. It's not going to be easy to block good plays with those tiles. It's not clear to me where those tiles play for really, really good scores. I'm looking around. Just trying to find good spots for the X, and it's not clear that the X is a terribly dangerous tile here. So Olaya comes up with Lido, making Zo, that word for an archaic word for an ox, I think. So that's going to put him up by 43, and it leaves the letters PIC available for him, which he will have a couple of places to play that. He'll be able to play out with a word here or here to the S, which probably is best left unsaid on the stream. So I think, or clip, we can say that. Through the L of Lido, he can play clip. So it's looking good for Olaya to come out on top in this game, and he's going to move his record to 9-0. That is awesome.
Wow.
So he's in really, really good shape. Let's just have, as this game finishes up, Fergal basically has to do his best to find as good of a scoring play with his X that he can. But if we go back to the standing screen, you can see that Olaya at 8-0, and then some other players behind, but nobody else is going to be at that same level as Olaya. He's at 9, and we'll see if Samuel Onifade, we'll try to get an update really quickly on whether or not he has won his game, because if Samuel lost his previous game, he's still playing right now. I'll just observe it really quickly. He's winning narrowly. So if Samuel Onifade holds on to this game that he's playing now and wins, he can continue to put himself in position to catch Olaya. But if he loses, Olaya will be 2 games up with only a few more games to play. Ooh. And Sumbul, I think that gives him a great chance of coming away with the victory here. Would you agree?
Yes, I think the way he's playing, he might become unbeatable at that point, and uncatchable as well, if that's a word. But yeah, I think he's doing amazingly, and I would like to speak to him afterwards and try and see if we can have a chat with him.
That would be awesome. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because anything can happen in Scrabble, and I have seen even the absolute best players in the world be in situations like this, and then all of a sudden the tiles just go dry at the wrong time.
They don't even make the top 5 sometimes. Like, yes. I've seen games where, wow. So expect the unexpected when it comes to Scrabble.
Absolutely. I think we've all been in that situation where you've started fast, and then you just can't draw. You can't draw a tile to save your life, or as happens to me sometimes. As I'll cut back to the game screen, and we'll see how this game finishes up. Sometimes all it takes is I'll start fast in a tournament, and then I will blow a game. I will lose a game that I should not have lost. And that is so annoying, that is so upsetting when that happens, that I lose my focus and start losing more games that I should win. So that's definitely a risk for any player that starts fast. But I get the feeling that Olaya is a mentally tough player. So it's going to be hard to get him off his game.
Yeah. I think personally, I do struggle with the fact that when you start amazingly and then suddenly it just goes boom downhill. Whereas if you start very bad and then start going up, you feel good. However, I've seen players, they do not react. Like, of course, we're not going to mention Nigel here. He's a totally, I would say it doesn't matter for him. But for everyone else, people just, they can. I think to master Scrabble, you need to be calm and you need to just go with the flow rather than think about every game and every move.
Yes, that is absolutely true. It's much easier said than done. Getting some pairings in. We can take a look as soon as this game is complete. We'll see what game we might want. I'm not sure what chat channels. I'm actually not monitoring any of those right now, but I'm happy to pull some up and see if anybody has any games that they'd like to see in the next round. There's a lot of good ones coming up.
I am monitoring the channel, so if anyone has a request, I will quickly jump in and let you know.
Awesome. That sounds good. So, so we see at long last, Doxy is played by Fergal, and that's basically a play that says, from Fergal's perspective, he knows he can't win this game, and Olaya plays out and secures the win. So nicely done to Olaya Kabir. That is a 9-0 record so far. So impressive.
Wow.
He's been playing really well.
Definitely.
So just cutting over to this other game between Smash and Sam Onifade. Smash is Orla Judge, who is a UK player, I believe. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. And Samuel Onifade is on the red tiles on the bottom of the scoring area. You can see he's up by over 100 points. So it's looking like he's going to keep pace here with Olaya Kabir going forward. So let's have a look at some of the pairings and see what we're looking at here. A pretty fun matchup could be yesterday's Speed Scrabble winner, Adegboyega Akintokun versus Cesar del Solar, who is a very, very well-known player here, creator of a word study website, aerolith.org, that's very near and dear to my heart, and the project manager of a wonderful new Scrabble app in development called Woogles, which looks like it's going to be a wonderful tool for Scrabble players when that is developed.
So excited for that.
Totally. That could be a fun match. Just going down the list and seeing other matches that look appealing. Let's see. Orla versus Ben Schoenbrunn. That could be fun. Olaya versus Sam Onifade. Boy, that's a pivotal game. I don't know how we can not show that one, because if Samuel Onifade defeats Olaya Kabir, he could potentially overtake him in the standings. So maybe that's the game that's calling out to be watched. Wasim Khatri versus Vanita Balasingam is a very, very good matchup as well between two very experienced international players. Dave Koenig versus Omri Rosenkrantz, another game between two experienced players. So no shortage of good games for us to watch. But I think that maybe the idea here should be to watch Olaya again, try to protect his undefeated record against his closest competitor, Samuel Onifade. I think that's where I'm leaning. So I'll cut back to the enhanced scoreboard and we'll just see.
I think there are a few games still going on. Vasim's still playing, I think.
Okay.
And there's someone else still playing. It's a very close game as well. So I think he's playing against Tony.
I'll check in on that one. Wow, that is a very close game with Wasim, for sure. So this one is, let's see, yeah, I'm looking for who that is against.
So Tony Sim. So Wasim Khatri versus Tony Sim. And so 370 and 379.
So Wasim is down by 9 points, and it's Wasim's turn. And he plays wide for 14. Interesting. This looks like a board that was very difficult to score on. So Wasim only taking 14 points there, which opens him up to potentially being outscored by Tony. But the board is so poor that it's hard to see where he'll be able to score points. I don't know. Let's think about this. This is a tricky situation here for Tony.
Very interesting as well.
I mean, there's nowhere good to score points. How about something with overlaps here with OL? Is there anything good there? What about just like mole for 23, leaving TYES? I wonder how good that would be. So Tony is in a situation where he's trailing by 5. You can see the unseen tiles at the bottom of the board. The highest scoring tile unseen is a P, only worth 3 points. So predominantly low scoring tiles. So from Tony's perspective, he's looking at that and saying, wow, the highest scoring tile that Wasim could have is only worth 3 points. Meanwhile, I have both the Y and the M to score with. So maybe a 1-2 punch with those two tiles could be enough to get the job done for him here.
Yeah. Someone on Twitch highlighted that, did he miss Gadai, if that's how you say, Gardai,
yes,
and
great
IWI.
Point. Yeah, so Wasim maybe not sure of the Gardai hook that would have played down in the corner with Iwi right there. That would have been a really interesting play that scored much better than wide. Only 14 points for the play of wide. Whereas the play that was suggested by whichever user on Twitch
26.
saw that, congratulations, that's a good play, a lot more points. So we'll see if that hook comes into play. I think that Garda also does not take an S. I believe it's only, or maybe
it doesn't.
Okay, so maybe that could be a scary situation. If Tony isn't aware of that, you could easily see him play Sty or something here, and Wasim would have, remember, we said that the challenge rule is single challenge, so any play that any player has any doubts of when their opponent plays it. They have every incentive to challenge it. There's no penalty for a wrong challenge. So that could be a big swing if Tony decides to put an S on that word of Garda. It does not take an S. That could be a big, big swing. So let's see. Tony's got 3 minutes to think this through. And we'll just have to see what he comes up with here. It's not really clear to me that there's a play that runs away with it as the best play here. Tony does have the last S. We were just talking about how that S did not play with Gardas, but it does play in other spots on the board. Not for a very good score, but on this particular board, it's not going to take very many points to get what would be a decent score here. So I'm just wondering, looking around to see maybe just, I don't know, something like that. Scores 23. That's not too bad. We'll see what he comes up with here. I'm intrigued to see how this end game is going to play out. Oh, ooh. Nice idea. That's a really nice play. 31 points there for Tony. That's going to be very, very difficult for Wasim to outrun. So let's see. After that nice play of Yest by Tony Sim, he leaves ELMO, and there is a spot to play something like moles over on this side of the board to the S of riotings. So there's one spot to play. Is there another one is really the key. Also, it's going to be very difficult for Wasim to block that area of the board and still score enough points to win. Sumbul, do you have a gut feeling about Wasim's chances here? Obviously, we don't know for sure until we see the plays come down, but what's your thought about his winning chances in this game?
I think his winning chances are thin, especially looking at the fact that Tony did play that, probably the best move suggested by Quackle. I was getting there, but he played it before me. So I think it's going to be tricky for him, but it would be nice to see what he does in that situation. He is one of the top players, so it would be nice to see how he's thinking and what was the what was his idea behind playing what he plays next.
Yeah. Wasim, obviously, very, very strong player. One of our finalists in the speed event yesterday, has performed extremely well in online competition for Pakistan in recent weeks and months. It's going to be tough. I'm pretty sure that the only place where Tony can play his letters of ELMO that you see at the bottom of the screen, Elmo, like the Sesame Street guy, the only place that he can do that, I think, is right here. So Wasim needs to prevent Tony from playing all of his letters and ending the game next turn in that spot with some kind of blocking play. And then he needs to come back with a second play on his next turn that scores a lot of points. And he's trailing by 26. I think that's just too much. I think that's likely to be just too many points behind.
Just too many.
So it's going to be potentially a win for Tony here that sets Wasim back in this game. Let's see. Do we have any more clarity as we wait for Wasim's response in the standings? We still have a bunch of games yet to finish. We strongly suspect that Samuel Onifade defeated Orla Judge in her game. So Samuel is going to move to 8-1. Actually, I misspoke earlier when I said that in our next game, if Samuel Onifade defeats Olaya Kabir, that he could pass him in the standings. That is not guaranteed because Olaya, in addition to being undefeated, he has a much, much bigger spread than Samuel. And Sumbul, what does that mean in terms of tiebreakers here?
Like you said, we are not having playoffs, so that would be very interesting. I actually have no clue how this is going to go. Spread is always, we had this conversation yesterday as well. Spread is a decider, and people winning with big spreads is only because of their skills. It's nothing to do with luck at that point. It's more to do with skills. They try to maximize spread. What about you?
Well, I'm just thinking that in particular in this next matchup between Samuel and Olaya, I think depending on how many points Samuel wins, let's say he wins, or I can tell you. Oh, that game has just started, by the way, between Olaya and Samuel. So I think basically, if we just cut back to this, Wasim has blocked the outplay of Moles for Tony Sim. And I'm pretty sure that Wasim is hoping to be able to play Lipo and Waf on his next turn. But Tony should be able to just score any number of points with his M and be able to outrun that play. Just anywhere to score well. He can. Okay, there was the play I originally suggested of Mole. It goes down, and that's going to be a winning play for Tony Sim against Wasim. So why don't we tune in now to a really important game between Olaya Kabir and Sam Onifade. Olaya going first and playing Panax, which is a lovely opening play, putting the X on the double letter score and the whole word on the center star, which doubles the word. 44-point opening for Olaya. Great play. Did you know that word, Sumbul? Panax?
No, I didn't. No, wow. I've just learned a new one.
Yes. I think it might be some kind of pharmaceutical. I know there's a word called Opopanax, which I think is some kind of a pill or some kind of other, not sure what. Why don't I get up my definitions programs here and see if I can actually provide some definitions that are accurate for the words that we're seeing, which has proven to be difficult for me. So let me see here. Okay, I was totally incorrect. It's a tree of the Aralia family. Totally wrong. I wasn't even close. And
it's okay.
Opopanax is a medicinal gum resin. So I was correct that there was some kind of pill or medicine element.
I think someone suggested Opopanax on Twitch.
Okay, yes. All right, there we go. We've seen a nice play by Olaya of Vaginas for 78. Cue the peanut gallery on Twitch. Go ahead. Let it out of your system. That's a great play, though, by Olaya to go up by a very solid score here. And Sam is not doing very well with his rack. We've said it over and over. You see the V and the W on those racks, and you pretty much know that a bingo is not going to go down on that turn for that player. So he's going to have to do his best to unsaddle himself from those clunky letters. So let's see, where might he do that? Looking around.
Would you play something like a WOW, VOW connecting VEX?
Absolutely. That's totally a very reasonable play. I love that idea. And the reason, so Sumbul, that's a great play, suggesting Vow for 32 points and Vex. That is scary. There we see it is played. And the scary thing about it is that it makes a big S hook. If your opponent has an S, there's great potential to score a lot of points to a triple word score. But Sam is losing in this game. He needs to create some volatility. He needs to create some opportunities for himself. And as it turns out, Olaya does have a blank, but he does not have an S with which to play the vows hook. So we will see if Sam is able to draw an S before Olaya. That was a great suggestion, Sumbul. That's a really good play, I think, especially with this score looking the way it is. Okay, what will Olaya do here? I'm trying to imagine if he had a bingo from the P of Panax. I don't think he is likely to. There is a word with those letters of waypoint, but it doesn't fit. It has to start with the P. So he plays wavy instead. That looks pretty good. It gets rid of his W and Y, which are high scoring tiles that don't work very well with the blank compared to those 1 point tiles. I think I like the play of wavy. What do you think of that one, Sumbul?
I think I was thinking along that line, but I didn't get to wavy. So yeah, something utilizing the V as well and trying to score. I think 26 is a good score. I usually try and aim to just score over 20. And sometimes, yeah, I think that really helps.
Yeah, I think 26 there is a great score, especially given that Olaya has the blank and is likely to get a bingo down on his next turn with a reasonable draw, especially from his perspective. Oh, wow. Okay. So we see Sam play German, opening up the board, and Olaya definitely has options from the P, like politic or politics, from this P. It would be a very, very advanced play. Oh, he also has solicit. Yeah, okay, so I just saw it a second too late. He can make his blank an S and play down with vows with a really nice play of solicit. So I definitely like that play. Before I got to that point, I was going to say maybe it'll be interesting to see what he plays from the P, but he didn't have to. He played solicit for 86. Really nice play.
Very nice play. I think it was better than politics as well, because then it doesn't give the I to Olaya for his... Oh, sorry, I mean Sam for his bonus.
Absolutely. So you can see the difference positionally. When you play solicit, all of these letters are on the far right side of the board, whereas a play down from the P creates tons of space, tons of opportunity to play through all of those letters to create bingos for your opponent. So by playing your word right on the edge of the board, you make it next to impossible the opponent's words all have to end in those letters. Whereas if you play down from the P, you can play freely across this huge swath of the board. Any bingo that you draw through those letters is going to play. So we like that positioning for sure by Olaya. And Sam is forced to play Tad for 14, and Olaya has drawn the second blank right after the first one. So Sumbul, earlier you were talking about how good it is to flip your tiles over and see the blank. But yes, the best feeling is when you play a blank and then you draw the next one, don't you think?
To be honest, I think that is the best feeling. To be honest, when I get both the blanks together, that's when I start to struggle. Like, that's one thing I really struggle with, having both the blanks on my rack at once.
For sure. As we see Olaya play pre-wrote for 76. Beautiful play. That was a really nice idea because it puts the P on the double letter score and reaches a double word score going across. So Olaya is now up by not quite 200 points in this game. That is really, really impressive. Wow. And he actually also blocked a bingo through the E of German. I'm not sure if Sam saw it, but entremet through this E would have been a nice consolation prize for Sam there. And I'm not sure if he has any other bingos available to him here. So that was a really tough break for Sam because Olaya draws the blank and blocks his bingo in one fell swoop right there. So this game is definitely looking like it is in Olaya's control. In fact, so much so, also I need to update that this is actually round 10, not round 9 anymore. So it's possible that we may want to shift to a different game that's a little bit closer because this one really does look like it is firmly in command for Olaya Kabir.
Olaya Kabir, yeah.
So you can see he was 9-0 going into this matchup with Sam Onifade, and he is going to hold Sam back from catching him here. Had Sam won this game, he would have needed to win by something like 130 or something like that in order to pass Olaya in the standings, but that is not going to occur. So why don't we cut to Adegboyega versus Cesar del Solar and see what's happening with that. We see Adegboyega, yesterday's winner in the Speed Scrabble event, going up against Cesar del Solar in 11th place, who badly needs a win to keep pace. So let's see. Oh, that game is just starting, I guess.
Wow.
Okay. That gives us, I guess, an opportunity to watch a game from the get-go here. So we saw plenty of Adegboyega yesterday, just playing bingos left and right. And Cesar, I think we might have seen a little bit of him yesterday, but
I think the first game we saw was Cesar and Olaya Kabir.
I don't remember. I think the very first game we saw yesterday was Conrad and Craig Beavers. But then we absolutely saw Cesar at some point, but I don't remember when. So we see, after a minute of thinking, Adegboyega plays Fava, which we like. We like to see the F and the V be played. We've said it many, many times.
Yes.
Whenever you see those V's and W's on these players' racks, they are going to come out really quickly. Those are the worst letters for bingoing, and players are trying to bingo as quickly as they can. So all of that is a recipe to play your V's and W's very quickly. Sumbul, are there ever any situations where you like to see the V's and W's in any particular situations of games?
I think when the board is very blocked, sometimes the V's and the W's can actually be in your favor. Like we saw in the last game, playing Wow did score a lot, especially keeping the S. You know, there's one S in the bag, or either even if there are two, one in the bag and you have one, you can create an opening and try and score as much.
For sure, yeah. I think it's when you have a lead in particular, in my opinion, sometimes I don't mind seeing the V's and W's when I'm already winning a game.
Yeah.
Because the V is in this lexicon that we're playing, the international lexicon. It's the only one the only tile in the set that does not have any two-letter words involved with it. So when you play a V on the board, there's no playing parallel on top or on the bottom. So putting a V out in space can often really restrict the board when you have a lead. So if ever I want to see a V, it's when I'm winning. And if ever I want to see a W, it's on a closed board that has good scoring plays but no bingo plays, because the W is useful in that it takes a lot of two-letter words, right? You can have aw, ew, ow, whoa, we. So there's plenty of stuff that you can play with the W alongside other words. But in general, Scrabble players are not fans of those letters. And with good reason. They don't show up that much in long words.
Yes, yeah.
Do we have any idea of there being a bingo here? It seems like seems somewhat promising. I'm not really sure if there's bingos. I guess floatages, maybe, through the A of Fava, I would expect. That could potentially go down. We basically have not seen Adegboyega miss any bingos at any point. So if he missed a bingo on this turn, it would be the first. Forgets. Okay, of course, forgets goes down. That's a much more findable play, normal play than floatages. But Cesar is going to answer back with a bingo here. He's got a nice bingo rack that should play through a bunch of different spots. Basically, he just has to figure out what's the best spot for him to play.
What's the best one?
And there are a lot of them, so he's going to have to go through and figure out a lot of different positionings here. Let's see. Do you see anything that stands out to you, Sumbul? I don't know. It's pretty tricky.
I can only see one, so it doesn't stand out, but that's the only one I can see at this point. So,
So
think harder.
He's got some 7-letter words that play underneath here, underneath Bay. He also has endorser through the R forgets.
Yeah, now I see it.
And then endorsee through the E. I'm not sure which is... okay, so he plays ordains for 74 points. I think that's working out better on the scoreboard than the plays I just suggested to the R and E. I think he's getting more points. All right, here's the key. Are we going to see Modiwart go down? Incredible bingo that I just saw quickly. There is a bingo here available to the D of Ordeens. That will be a very, very impressive play by Adegboyega.
Wow.
Again, he just doesn't miss anything.
There you go.
But Cesar's going to triple. He's going to play Artiness or Retsinas. Doesn't matter. He had a couple different ones. Wow, that's a big swing.
Wow.
So Adegboyega plays his bingo. Again, we have not seen him miss a bingo on stream, and we watched him a bunch of times yesterday, even in speed. And Retsina's is played in response as a triple by Cesar. Great play there. So despite the bingos early for Adegboyega, he finds himself looking up at Cesar at the scoreboard. That's a little bit demoralizing, I would think, when you've bingoed twice in 3 turns and you're still losing the game. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it's just one of those games where you feel like this is not my game. No matter what I do, it's just not gonna, I'm not gonna get ahead. And you try and stick in the game, but it's just like mentally you're not there because that's how you feel. That's how I personally feel. How do you deal with these kind of situations?
Well, what I try to remember in these situations is that when I look up at the scoreboard, I'm only losing by in between 30 and 40 points, right? He's losing by 38 points, which, yes, it is disappointing that in his shoes, at Adegboyega, I've bingoed twice and I'm still losing the game, but 30 points is not that much. I can still come back from that. And as you can see, Cesar has drawn 3 U's after his triple of Retsina's. Ooh. So he can play something like Capu to the K of Kane and score 30 points, but in so doing, he's still going to leave himself UUAT for the next turn.
Would you play Kutu, Kutu?
Ooh, that's another idea. So Kutu, as suggested by Sumbul, that has the benefit of using up 2 of your 3 U's. It does score 6 fewer points. So it's a give and take. Basically, it might be... if we were a little bit further along in the game and there was still a queue yet to be played, so you can see at the bottom of your screen, the queue is right there. It hasn't been played, so it's possible that you could still draw it by keeping the U's. I don't know. I think there's too many tiles left for that really to matter. So, that's very close. I could see going either way with those 2 plays. I'm wondering if maybe there are plays to the M that... Oh, wow. Interesting idea of Pruta for 34 points. So Cesar has gone for even... Yeah, that's a nice idea. He's gone for even more points than I had identified, or either of us had identified, 34. But in so doing, I think he just left AUU on his rack. So that could get ugly if he draws more vowels. We'll just have to see what happens for him. So it's back over to Adegboyega. He's down by something like 37 points. That is nowhere near enough for him to panic. That is a very close game still, especially with the board is quite open, right? We were talking about how the board is closed earlier, but now look at all the places where you could imagine playing 7-letter words. Here. I mean, it's just all over the place. So
I think utilizing that and using the triple up would be something nice, especially if it scores well.
For sure, there's definitely plays through that O. I'm seeing potentially Grody. He could have played Grody there. Instead, he plays Demi for 42. I think he could have played Domi there in that same spot, using the O instead of the E. And we like to save our E's. We were talking about this yesterday. Sumbul, do you have a quick thought about why it is that we like our E's more than some of the other vowels?
I think, like you said, every letter has its own characteristics, and keeping the E's, they're more friendlier compared to any other letter. You usually don't get stuck with them unless you have 3 or 4 or 5 on your rack. So that's probably, I think, the summary from yesterday.
Yeah, totally. That's absolutely right. It's just, I mean, we all have our letters that we like for various reasons, but there's actually statistics that back it up that the E is just the most commonly seen vowel in our English language, in 7-letter words, 8-letter words, shorter words. When you have E's, you just have more options. So we really like to see those E's on our rack. As you said, everything in moderation. You don't want to see 4 or 5 of them on your rack, but 1 or 2 is always a great start to every rack. So it looks like Cesar left AUU on his previous turn, and he drew ELLL. As we see, Adegboyega has lost his internet connection briefly. I'm sure he'll be back in just a second. So as soon as Adegboyega logs back on, we will hook up with his game again. So yes.
Yes, I think I was just looking at other games as well. I'm trying to save people on ISC and try and jump into their games.
Yeah, are we seeing any other interesting games? Definitely let us know if you are. I think, they're playing again.
Okay, here you go.
Okay, they're back. All right, so after the play of Demi from Adegboyega, Cesar has drawn very poorly. He drew 3 L's. He opted to get rid of both of his U's and 2 L's by playing Lulu's, which looks like a good idea. The only problem with it is it scores very few points. And now you see Adegboyega has drawn the second blank, and he's definitely going to bingo somewhere with this.
I'm sure something's going to spring in his mind.
Yeah, that's right. Springed. That's right. That is a great idea from Sumbul. Okay, he plays Proined instead, so that's totally fine.
I
Cesar,
think the S up is... Sorry, go on.
Oh, no, you're totally right. Go finish that point. It's a good point.
No, I was just going to say, having the S up, it's easier to get a 7-letter word starting with S and connecting to the triple letter word. So I think that's probably why doing the P is a bit more challenging.
Absolutely.
That's how I would see it.
That is absolutely true. And I'm pretty sure we're going to see rebadged go down here for Adegboyega, and that should put the lid on this game, I think. So I think that's going to go down from the R of Proined right here. It's going to be another bingo. Again, we have not seen Adegboyega miss, I don't think, a single bingo yet. So it would be a first if he happened to miss one now. And there you see it, rebadged goes down, and that is bad news for Cesar. So let's see. Does he have any way to score a lot of points with his X and keep himself in the game? I'm sure he can do something, but I don't know. It's going to be tough. He can play stuff, I don't know, just like tax up here if he wants. Maybe there's some other better spot for the X, but either way, this game looking like it is getting out of reach for Cesar, and that Adegboyega is going to come out on top. And that will be a big win for him and a tough loss for Cesar. But if we go look back in the standings, let's just have a quick look. You can see that Olaya Kabir is 2 games up on the entire rest of the field, except the only person who could conceivably catch him would be Sam Onifade. You see him in second place, 2 wins behind with 2 rounds to go. So Olaya is in really strong position. Even if Adegboyega wins this round and moves to 8-2, I guess then the 2 of them. There actually could be a number of people with 8 wins after this round. I spoke too soon. You can see it's possible, that Adegboyega is going to win. He's going to move to 8-2, barring something very crazy in this game with Cesar. Vanita could also win, and Dan Sandhu could also win. So we've got a few players that could move to 8 wins. The problem is that not only is Olaya 10-0, you see his spread is also very large, almost 1,200 points of spread. It's going to be very, very tough. Let's cut back to the game. Some interesting plays have gone down. So you can see Adegboyega scored 65 points in this spot with his Z. He bombed his Z for a huge score, but Cesar responded with a 90-point bingo of ethical. Unfortunately, he's still down by a very large margin, so Adegboyega is still in firm command of this game. So we'll just have to see what happens here. But a bunch of these games coming in are going to be really important to see which of these players have 8 wins and could conceivably catch Olaya over the next 2 rounds. So, wow, that's a really impressive performance for Olaya Kabir. He very nearly won the speed event yesterday, and he is in great position here in the main event to win that as well. That would be really impressive, Sumbul. Do you think?
Yes, I think, like I said earlier on, it is going to be nice to see if he wins it, but Scrabble can be unpredictable. Even though we still have 2 games to go, he might not win them, and people who are already on 8 wins might catch up, so it can go either way. I think we still need one more game to finalize that.
Absolutely. It's that would be really quite dramatic if, let's say, Olaya in the next game loses by a lot of points. You know, that sets up a really dramatic ending round 12, where it's going to be for all the marbles between Olaya and his closest challenger. So that could be really, really exciting. We'll see how it all turns out. This game looking grim for Cesar. He's down by exactly 90 points to Adegboyega. He has a possible spot to score very well with his H and play something like Hove for 36. But the problem with that is the unseen letters are very grim for him. So it's looking like a win for Adegboyega here. And so I had seen earlier from our director, Chris Harrison, that I think for the last couple of rounds, our event organizers are going to they're going to wait for each game in round 10 and 11 to be completed before creating the pairings for the next round, just to give as many players a fighting chance to win as he can. So there will be it's going to be a little bit slower than usual to get those pairings in. So yes, we'll just have to see who's playing who. And it's possible that so basically if Olaya wins one more game, he will clinch victory in the main event of the Mind Sports Olympiad Scrabble event. But even if he loses twice, as long as he loses very narrowly, he can still win, right? He's up by 2 wins and a lot of spread. Sumbul, if you were in that situation, would you play any differently in your games, knowing that you could still be the tournament winner if you lost twice, as long as it was a very low scoring game, low scoring margin of defeat?
I think, firstly, I've never been in that situation, so I actually don't know. But if I was in that situation, I would be a bit more relaxed, and I think the confidence builds up as well because you're a bit more relaxed that your position is kind of secured. That makes any sense.
Sure, that makes total sense. But would you potentially play a little bit more defensively in the early game and try to create a board that leads to just low scores for both players, knowing that it doesn't really matter if you win or lose the game as long as the scores are very low and closely packed together?
Yeah, I think that's something I'm going to do, try and close the board up as quickly as possible. What about you? Would you personally do that? I'm not a person who closes boards, so I don't know.
Well, historically, I am also not a person that closes boards, but over time, I've tried very hard to become more comfortable with that style of play. And I do think at this point, so I've been playing Scrabble for basically 11 years now at the tournament level. And for the first, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those years, I would not play any differently. But now I do feel like in that situation where I'm trying just not to get blown out, I would try to play a little bit tighter. If I had an option that opens the board that I might normally play, I would consider going a different direction just to minimize the chances of losing in a landslide. So it's not easy to do. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't come naturally to me. So I totally support what you're saying, where you really should often you should not deviate that much from the strategy that got you to that point where you're in a good situation in the tournament. It got you that far, right? Like, it can't be that bad. So I wouldn't say it's a tactical error, just to continue playing the way that is most comfortable to you. So it really is up to the individual person.
Well said. Yeah. Well
so Cesar plays off his W in this game. He has convert on his rack, and he will be able to potentially play contrive through the eye of Ami, which is kind of interesting. If somehow Adegboyega does not see contrive, which I'm sure he will, right? So Cesar has a bingo available through this eye of contrive. Basically, the only way that contrive is going to be a threat to win the game is if Adegboyega somehow does not play his Q on this turn, which I have every expectation he'll play something like queens for 44 points. That will easily put him far in the lead. I think that's a word, right? Hold on. Yes, a French card game. Ooh. Oh wow! So instead he does block contrive. I'm sure that works out better to do. I'm wondering. Oh, I think that's simply to. I get it. That's a very clever idea. So the thought behind hit is to block contrive and leave himself 2 spots. He can now next turn he can play quint down to this T, or he can play queens here. So he now has 2 spots where he can score between 40, something like 45 points or so. And Cesar, this is smart, right? I don't think this is a word. But basically, from Cesar's perspective, it makes all the sense in the world that he should just try it, right? If there's any chance from his perspective that would be a word, why not? You got to try it. It would win the game. So I think that might be the first play, Sumbul, that we've seen actually be challenged off the board. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. The first one we have seen, yeah.
And it makes total sense. In that situation, Cesar is going for the home run play. I'm sure he was not confident that word was likely to be good, but if there's even a 1% chance in his mind, he's got to go for it there. So I get it. We're probably going to see quint or quins come down pretty quickly here, unless I'm missing something better. And basically, the results are coming in one after another. And, quirt is the play. Uncover comes down very fast. And I'm sure we're going to see the last N go down very quickly to finish the game.
Another one for Adegboyega.
That's right. So that's a big win for Adegboyega, but Olaya Kabir still in very, very strong position as we cut back to that standing screen.
We are seeing another very strong player, Austin Shin, climbing to 6th position.
That's right. Yes. Austin, a very, very strong player. My teammate on the United States Scrabble team that has been playing a different event. I've seen a couple teammates of mine on the U.S. team in action in the Mind Sports Olympiad events, including Conrad Bassett-Bouchard yesterday. So that's been cool to root them on in my role as commentator. But Austin Shin, a very strong player for sure. One of the highest ranked players in the world. No surprise to see him in 6th position here, alongside some other very, very strong players.
Very strong players, yeah. I think this is a very strong, I would say, field today.
Absolutely. It's full of top players. I mean, you see Wasim in 11th place. That's how you know it's a strong field. Lots of really, really good players up and down the standings. I'm just going to cut to the full standings as late as we can and just look a little bit further down in the standings and see what we can see here. So you see this extends well beyond the top 12. It's not fully updated. As you can see, Austin won his game. He's currently listed in 14th place, but we know that he's actually higher. But just going down the list a little bit, you can see lots of players that I recognize. Cesar's wife Mina also playing. What a nice bonding activity with your significant other to play in an online Scrabble tournament together. Cesar is there in 11th place. Mina in 30th. Nice job to both of them. If there were a reward for best combined winning total for you and your spouse, I think they would potentially be the winners.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that award exists. Maybe next year we can add that. So yeah, just going down the list, you see Dave Koenig, he did well yesterday. Lots of players I recognize up and down. So we'll cut back to the enhanced scoreboard that has the most up-to-date information, and I think we're going to be getting those last few results in very soon, and we're going to know who's playing who. So
very interesting.
Yeah, basically it's looking like Adegboyega may have given himself the best chance to catch Olaya. Olaya would just need to win one game here on out, and he will be the winner of this event. But Adegboyega has proven himself to be a very scary opponent for sure. Just very, very methodical at finding his bingos and best plays. So it's going to be very interesting. If that's the matchup, it's going to be a reprise of yesterday's matchup between the same two players for all the marbles in our Speed Scrabble event, which that's
correct.
Yeah, so it does prove, we were talking yesterday, Sumbul, about how a lot of the stronger players that we've been mentioning are very, very good at Speed Scrabble, but it also translates to slower paced Scrabble as well.
Scrabble, yeah.
What's your thought on that? Is it just...
I think like you said yesterday, it depends on the player as well, how they change themselves to different formats. I think we were also comparing it to different sports the other day. A player has to change their momentum, their mentality to the game and the format they're playing. With speed, it's more about just making quick decisions, quickly analyzing and playing what you think is the best move. Whereas with slow Scrabble, it's more strategy, thinking time, and utilizing your time wisely.
Absolutely. Fully agree with all of what you just said. And I guess just in general, it helps the faster that you can identify pretty good plays, right? It's so in a slow-paced game of Scrabble, 15 or more minutes in length, what you're looking to do is find the best possible play every turn. You're really looking to figure out each turn as if it were a puzzle with a correct answer, right? You're trying to find the best play. And in Speed Scrabble, I think a lot of the time you have to lower those expectations to, I want to find a good play every turn, right? I'm trying to find a play that's not a big mistake every turn. So it does make sense for a lot of the players who are very good at quick-paced Scrabble that with a little more time to think, those players who are good at Speed Scrabble are very good at identifying good plays, and with a little bit more time to think, they can really hone in on what is the best play. It is definitely related, and really some of the top Scrabble players out there, I'm thinking about Nigel Richards, who seems to end every game with more than 10 minutes on his clock. He plays so calmly that it like he doesn't have the energy of a fast player who's slapping their tiles on the board really fast, but he processes his moves so quickly that he still ends up having a ton of time every game. Adam Logan, another player, Canadian player, extremely strong Scrabble player who plays at a very rapid pace. So it's not uncommon for a lot of the strongest players to be very adept at playing quickly. I am not. I feel like if there is an exception to that rule, it's me.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think I'm very good.
See it?
Well, I think it's taken me a lot of time and effort to get to the level where I'm at now, where I'm a strong Scrabble player, but I still absolutely am not in the league of somebody like Nigel or Adam or David Eldar or lots more players that are just unquestionably better and faster players than I am. And I just feel sometimes like I'm hanging on for dear life just to get through a game without making big mistakes. So I don't know. Maybe I'm not giving myself enough credit for potentially being a good blitz player. But we'll just we'll have to see. Maybe I'll try more blitz going forward and see if maybe I'm better than I think I am. So we see the pairings are in. Yes. And indeed, it will be a rematch between Olaya and Adegboyega. And I suppose it is also possible there is one other player at 8-2, and that is Samuel Onifade. If he's able to defeat Tony Sim in his game, he could potentially put himself in position to catch Olaya if Olaya loses, especially if he loses by a lot of points. So right now, Olaya is definitely the favorite to come away with a victory in this event, but it is not impossible that he could lose twice and be passed by either of our two players in second and third at 8-2. So that is the summation of where things stand. And as soon as Olaya and Adegboyega get underway, we will cut straight to that game. Do you have any expectations do you have any predictions of what you expect to see? I'm scared to predict anything.
Like I said, I am scared to predict anything because it's Scrabble. But I feel like Olaya is in a very, very strong position. And when he feels more confident, I think he might even play better rather than being nervous. So we will see how that goes. All the best to both of the players.
Yeah, absolutely. So just watching the list of players, just taking stock. Just as soon as Olaya is underway, we will start up. So yeah, also if I think we are likely, I'm not sure with the internet problems of Adegboyega, but I know that we will do our best to get Olaya on screen for an interview after, if he does wrap this up with a win, either in this upcoming round or round 12. So let me just adjust that round. We're in round 11 now. Hopefully everybody's enjoying the coverage of these climactic rounds of our main event in the Mind Sports Olympiad of our Scrabble events. We had our speed event yesterday, main event today. And really,
interesting.
It's been very interesting. And kudos again are totally due to Chris Harrison and Wayne Kelly and Natalie Zolti and everybody else who's been making sure this event runs as smoothly as it has. So Sumbul, do you have you as you're currently in the UK, back when we used to be able to play live tournaments, do you ever play any of those players in tournaments around where you are?
Yes, yeah. I think I've my best games with Natalie was, of course, in the Continental Scrabble Championship in Amsterdam last year. I think we had a very good competition and very close games as well. Apparently, I was playing very well, so I think that's where I started learning up from Natalie as well. And to be honest, I see her as like an inspirational player as well. I want to learn from her. Wayne Kelly, another good player as well. I think I did beat Wayne once, and that was the highlight of my entire tournament. I didn't do well, but beating Wayne was like I was playing in Division A in Ilford, and sometimes you get those moments. And these players, the best part is when you play against them, you learn so much from them that it's like it's worth it. Either you lose or win, that comes later, but learning from them is probably the best way. That way they make their moves, why they make it. I think those reasons really matter.
Yeah, that's a great group of players to learn Scrabble from, and I do find that it absolutely helps if you happen to be geographically close to a lot of good players. That's a really great way, sorry about that, to ensure that you can learn a lot about Scrabble in a short time. So really kudos to those players. And, part of what we're hoping to achieve here with these broadcasts is hopefully you can feel a little bit, no matter where you're from watching in the world, that you're getting some insight from stronger players. If you're newer to Scrabble, we're really trying to make our analysis accessible, and we really hope that everybody is enjoying the coverage and learning that Scrabble is just such a wonderful, deep, strategic game. It is a lot about finding the words, but the art of picking the best word that you see is very complicated and very beautiful, frankly. I just think Scrabble is a beautiful game. So hopefully hopefully that's coming across.
I think as Scrabble players, we do fall in love with the game. I think we had this conversation yesterday as well. It's very hard to fall away from the game. You do stop for a while, like I stopped for work.
That's right.
But then you get back into it and there's no stopping you. You still have to like push yourself away and then go like, okay, now it's time to stop and then I'll get back later. So yeah, I think that's just a part of the game you love, and especially the people involved. You make friends and you connect with them on every level. So I think that for me, that's definitely a social aspect as well, is a big factor.
Absolutely. It really, and part of that, we discussed it yesterday a little bit to, I think towards the beginning of our broadcast, we talked a bit just about that we are in a pandemic, we're in a COVID-19 world right now. And basically the norm that we have of finding our local players that are near us in our cities or in our towns, it's a little bit different. We've had to move online. We have this tournament online that's normally played in person in London, I believe, at the Mind Sports Olympiad. And that's not possible this year, so this is what we have to do. And while we all do miss seeing our friends in person and playing over the board, this does fill a really valuable role to keep those bonds going. We all are missing our Scrabble friends from all over the globe, and this is a great way to maintain those connections.
No, I think very well said.
So let me see. Let me make sure if the play... Oh, I'm so sorry. The players have begun. We've missed a play. Not too bad. Haven't missed too much. No worries. It's only one play. It was just Olaya playing Gord. So it is underway here. Not sure what Olaya had on that first play with Gord. Something to note about this play is that it takes an E hook in addition to an S. So Gord, you could see easily plays with E going down in this spot. But Adegboyega has a Q, and it looks like he's lost contact again. Internet issues plaguing Adegboyega, but not affecting his performance at all. He's still winning a lot of games, even with issues with the internet. So we will see what he opts to do. It looks like he can get rid of his Q, but not score very many points, or keep his Q and score a lot of points in a couple different areas, right? Like he could play 0 here and Gord or something like that, and it would score... Oops, why did it make it a blank? Oh, something weird is happening. Let me... Oh, I know why. It's because we have to wait for Adegboyega to come back. It's not showing the correct letters. Don't worry about that HIOY.
Okay.
That's gonna be different when Adegboyega logs back on.
Back, yeah.
So this is a pivotal game for both players. If Olaya wins, he will clinch victory in this event overall. And if Adegboyega wins, he will force another game with Olaya to potentially pass him in the standings at the very, very end. So let me see. Still not on yet. Just waiting patiently. Okay, there it looks like he's back. All right, there we go. There's the correct letters. So you could imagine 0 be played. It scores 32, but it leaves the Q behind, whereas a play like Roke... right, that scores 16, leaving SEZ. I think I would like to see the Q be played here. What's your thought on that, Sumbul?
I would like to get rid of the Q. I think Zed can be used later on and probably even score more than what it's going to score in this move.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that's what we're likely to see after a bit of a thought, here from Adegboyega. His clock still in the 14, the first minute of his time, even after the disconnection. So that is just how the ISC, the platform we're playing on here. And sure enough, there it goes. Yeah. We could see a huge bingo of Thyroid come down here for Olaya that would absolutely start his game on the right track to the D of Gourd. That would be huge. 95-point opening move on his second turn. I bet Olaya is going to find it. He's shown great command of word knowledge throughout, as has Adegboyega. Both players... I guess that we should think maybe there's a double-double through the R. I wonder. It doesn't look likely. There it is. Wow. Thyroid for 95 points. Beautiful, beautiful play. Thyroid, a shield-shaped bone defined in Collins. And a quick challenge from Adegboyega just to check. It doesn't cost him anything to challenge. So quick start here for Olaya, needing just one win in his last two games to clinch.
I think he's getting closer to that, isn't he?
Yeah, he surely is. However, Adegboyega is going to be able to score a lot of points on this move somewhere. He's got nice scoring tiles between, obviously, the Z, one of the best scoring tiles, and then also the H, S, and F. He'll definitely be able to score something like if he put... Oh, there it is, Fez. Great play using that 46. E-hook on Gourd that we discussed. Oh, 46, yes. Using that E-hook that we pointed out earlier. So I think we like that play for sure. And I think that left behind very good letters for him. Maybe, did it leave two A's behind? I think it left AAHS, which the only negative about that is the two A's. But HS or SH, however you want to phrase it, together are very, very powerful scoring tiles together. Good synergy between those tiles.
Yes.
So, yeah, we talked a lot about synergy yesterday. I'm not sure we've brought up synergy today, the synergy between tiles. Sumbul, do you want to give a quick, as we see Woad go down for Olaya, thought about what synergy means to you between tiles?
Yes, I think we were speaking that a balance between the vowels and the consonants is very important as well because of the synergy and how different. I think the conversation ended on the note that different people like different kind of. It depends on their skill level, how they see the word and how they see the letters. For some people, like we said earlier on, block boards is the way move forward. That's how they play, whereas people with open boards, they prefer different synergy as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So it's all about what tiles you like, and there's also just certain tiles that mesh really well together. And S and H are two of those that just work great together, and you get a lot of high-scoring plays with the two of them. Okay, so the game continues. We see Adegboyega play A parallel to Woad. That could potentially set up a play later in the game. Just pointing it out now that there is a W hook to this play of Wah, which is the cry like a baby would make. And that could potentially play for a ton of points in that spot. So we're going to see who draws that W first to hit that spot. Olaya does not have a great rack here. I think it's possible that he will look to overlap A with some other play. I'm not sure what that would be. Maybe there isn't really a strong play in that spot. This is a tricky move for Olaya. He just doesn't have a great way to score. So we'll see what he elects to do. Oh, that's a great play. I'm sorry. That's a wonderful option for him. Aroba, 34 points. Yeah, what do we think of that?
From the last game as well, he did play, if I'm not wrong, Agorae, didn't he?
Yes, Agorai.
Yeah.
That was
Agorai, yeah.
very similar play with the 2 A's. So that's a great play, scoring 34. Normally, you would be a little bit scared of putting this A here because a Z play would score so many points, right? Going down with Za, but you see the Z's already been played, so there's no need to worry about that. So Olaya is up early in this game, which he just needs 1 win out of 2. Ooh, okay, so Olaya had I after his play of Aroba, and oh no, Sumbul, what's happened to him here? That's
Ouch.
not good.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Will he exchange? I think, is he in a position he can exchange?
I do think he is in a position to be able to do that. I'm wondering, I was just looking really quickly if maybe he had some play through the G of Gourd and V of that, and I don't see it. So I think probably, as you said, his best option is to exchange here and probably leave EL behind. Not that the L is so essential, but just simply to start your next rack with at least 1 vowel and at least 1 consonant. That type of balance is a great way to start your next rack. Okay, instead he plays Hioi. Very, very interesting.
Very.
So that scores 9 points. It gets 3 of the vowels off of his rack. Obviously, this a very archaic word. If you're not familiar with it, don't worry. But if you are a Scrabble player playing in the International Lexicon, you are almost certainly familiar with this word already. But the scary thing about it is it gives up good scores to the triple, and it gives up an S hook going down. I don't think that Adegboyega has anything. I don't think he has any bingos that play here. But I wonder whether he's going to take an aggressive approach and play something like Thumb alongside Aroba, or whether he can play something to the triple. I don't know if there's anything good to the triple word score in the upper right with this rack. Do you see anything, Sumbul? Definitely shout it out if you do. I'm not seeing anything great there. So he plays
Ooh.
Flu. Oh man, that is a very, very aggressive play.
Is it the MU setup?
It's absolutely. It's totally about the M. And sure enough, just in time, Olaya immediately plays a YA, or some French oilet is definitely not how that word is said, but I'm sure it's like a French sounding word like YA. However you say that word came in just in time because Adegboyega had minutes, minuets, mistune, any of those plays would have played in this spot going down, hooking the M, making the Greek letter mu.
Yeah.
Or mu. I'm not even sure if I said that right. But either way, that is just the right timing for Olaya. I wonder what is... Yeah, I'm not sure that there were even any playable words there, amazingly.
Ooh.
So Adegboyega plays He leaves very, very good letters behind. But I think we should see something good with the X be played, maybe to the top part of the board. I guess something like D6 or anything up high, scoring well with the X is likely to be a good option. Oh, you know what? Another option here for Olaya would simply be to dump his X in the upper left corner, leaving... Okay, he plays Sext instead. But I was just going to say, you're going to bingo a lot of the time just plopping your X down by itself in the upper left corner, leaving CDEERS. That bingos a lot. But instead, Olaya has gone for points, and Adegboyega is going to bingo here for sure with a beautiful rack. This is one of the first racks that you would study if you're looking to become a tournament Scrabble player. Sumbul, do you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, I started with these ones. To be honest, I would say when you start learning more words, you you don't forget them, but you do confuse them sometimes because you are learning more words, and these are the first ones you learn. I usually have to revisit them and go over them after every, I would say, 6-8 months, just so that they're fresh in my memory.
Yes, of course. Pretty much all the words that you study over the course of your Scrabble career do need to be refreshed constantly. It's like a leaky sieve in your mind where you're trying to put more words in there and then they're falling out like as roughly as quickly as you can put them in. But okay, we do see saltine be played. But yes, as you were saying, there are certain words, usually these words consisting of only 1 point tiles, like saltine, that they show up over and over again because the letters that are in those words are letters in the set that have a lot of those letters. Like there are 12 E's, 6 N's, 6 T's, 4 L's, 9 A's, 9 I's, and 4 S's. So all of those letters appear many, many, many times in the full set of Scrabble tiles. So learning how to find the word saltine is a really, really good way to ensure that you're going to bingo quickly when you get those letters over the board. You just draw this rack a lot in Scrabble. Great play. Look at that play of direct. That's just tremendous. That's a beautiful play by Olaya Sumbul, right? I mean, look at that.
Yes. That is just like, I was worried about the 2 C's and didn't even see the direct. But here you go.
Yeah, 47 points for that play. The only drawback that you could point to is that it creates a very big place to play the S. And if you look at the bottom of your screen, you see there are 2 S's yet to be played. And that's, I guess, from, wait a second. Oh, yeah. 2 S's are available from Degboyega's perspective as well as a blank. It's very possible that Olaya has drawn some combination of those. Yeah. And if he has, that's going to be very bad news for a Degboyega as he plays B powder through DE on the board. That's a very, very nice play. Using up all of his 3-point consonants there, which don't work together very well. The B, P, and W, not a good combination for bingoing. He's used them all on one move through DE on the board to score 34. Wow. That's a beautiful play.
That is definitely a good play.
What can you say?
Do you think that the S or the blank on Adegboyega's rack can change things? They are nearly 40 points apart, so...
Yeah, this is tricky now. It's... if a Degboyega just drew S's and blanks, this creates a very scary situation for Olaya because he does not have a wonderful way to block the directs hook without, and also use up his J, right? So I'm seeing that he could play something like Conin here, Conin. So let me just put that on the board and show everybody what that would look like. It scores 21 points, and it badly cripples the S hook on directs, but it keeps the J left on Olaya's rack. The J is not a particularly useful tile here. There's nowhere for it to go that scores that well. So this is a tricky, tricky move where every instant... Oh, there it is, Conan. Okay. So every instinct that you have as a player when you get the J this late is I need to use my J up because it's not good for bingoing and it doesn't score. But in this case, Olaya has suppressed that instinct and realized that the best chance that a Degboyega has is to hit an S hook on directs, and he's going to stop those plays from going down very, very often after Conan. So that was a very clever play. I wasn't sure that, I mean, I still am not 100% sure if that was actually the best play, but I saw it as an option to block the hook, and sure enough, he has taken that tack here.
Yeah, and no S or the blank for a Degboyega.
That's right. Yeah, go ahead, continue.
No, I was just going to say that things are 10 tiles in the bag. Do you think Olaya will draw it?
The odds are good that after playing 4 tiles that he's drawn at least one of those SS blank remaining. Odds are good, but from his perspective, if he hasn't drawn them, he's going to be very, very scared right now. And sure enough, he has drawn just the S, not the blank. So this creates a very sticky situation for him now. He's going to have to figure out a way to block as much of the board as he can. One option would be to just play Juvie through the V of even, and that is a play that, you know, after even, which was spelled in this particular way, I'm wondering why Adegboyega opted to spell it this way as opposed to the normal V-E-N and put a V out in space. Wow, he plays Jesuit for 43. Okay, that might be even better. So, Olaya plays Jesuit and Bepowders for 43 points. He uses up his S, and in so doing, he still blocks the V pretty well. He doesn't really do much to block the N, but the N isn't terribly dangerous unless you can go all the way to the triple with it, which isn't that likely. And we can see that Adegboyega did not draw the blank. So the odds of Olaya having just drawn it are very high. So this looks like this could be the clinching game here for Olaya Kabir.
Yeah, because he did not even draw the S. So, and with the N on the board, there are chances something ending on ing or man, good endings to have. So,
absolutely, yeah, this is looking pretty good. So, congratulations already being offered to Olaya by Adegboyega in the chat. Seemingly, he knows that. He's in trouble. He plays tanky, and we can expect imagings to go down. Oh wait, sorry, that doesn't fit. Through the N. Is there anything through that N, I wonder? So he has GG, MNS, Gangsman. He can play Gangsman to the N. If he knows that word, he can go all the way down and play Gangsman for 89 points. To finish this off, that would be a pretty amazing find by Olaya to polish off this incredibly impressive victory for him here. He doesn't even need that play to win. That would just be pure style points if he plays that right here. He's up by, I don't know, he's up by 47 points, and Adegboyega just has PIET, and there it is, Gangsman for 89. There it is officially. That is going to clinch it. Olaya Kabir, our winner today. Very, very impressive.
Congratulations.
So that is an awesome performance by him. He moves to 11-0 in the main event.
Wow.
Olaya was a top member of the Nigerian team in the World Cup Scrabble event that is still ongoing, and he performed very, very well in that event as well. We all know the Nigerian top players like Wellington Jiggery, definitely one of the top players in the world. Olaya was the number 2 seed on that team and performed very similarly to Wellington in that event. So no surprise to see Olaya doing very well. But 11-0 is just incredibly impressive. That's amazing. So it is. Amazing. We will see if we can get him onto Zoom. So director Chris Harrison saying we just need to make sure that he gets a bye in the last game, which that's just because he's already clinched. So let's go look at the standings and see how things are shaking out for some of the other spots. Oh, I guess not too many results are in yet from that round.
We might have some games going on.
Yeah, let's see if there are some other games that are important to, how about Sam Onifade, who was in 3rd place? Let's see how his game is going between Tony Sim, who is currently in 5th place, and it looks like, wow, this looks really close. Okay. Ooh. So you can see this is a really close game. It looks like Tony Sim has a 30-point lead. Both of the blanks are still unseen, along with a number of, I think there are literally no tiles left unseen to Sam that are worth more than 1 point. It's all 1 point tiles available. So that's kind of scary. However, the board is not very good for getting those bingos down. Basically, just this R is here. I guess there's a B hook on this word as well. You could see bingos go down to the T of anti-tax and maybe through the Y of stagey. What about Reen? Are there any hooks on that we need to think about? Nope. Okay, so...
Ooh, both the blanks here, you go.
Wow, both
Something
blanks.
on the R.
Yeah, I'm sure that there are some bingos to that R. How about... boy, I don't know.
Taylor?
Trailers. How about trailers? That's as good as I can see right now. Maybe there's something fancier than that, but so you could see trailers potentially going down. The only problem with trailers is that the unseen letters to Tony Sim are actually very good, right? Look at the bottom of your screen. There are many bingos that could go down with the triple lane after trailers. So I wonder if there's a way for him to put something down. Oh yeah, there's also a couple other spots on the board. But I wonder if there's a bingo to the R that puts a V out in space or something like that that would prevent any bingos coming down the triple column afterwards. So I'm just checking. Doesn't look like there are. What about a C? That would get the... Oh, I see. Yes, the aboves hook. That does the trick. Okay, so that's a really nice play to hook that S onto aboves, which, yes, that is a valid word in Scrabble. It doesn't sound like it should be, but above is defined as a noun that can pluralize, as opposed to an adverb. So that's a really nice play there by Tony Sim, and that is going to prevent, I think, Sam Onifade from getting any bingos down. He actually did not have a bingo available, I don't think. Even had trailers been the play there. So Tony Sim going to come out on top in this game and stop Sam Onifade from moving to 9 wins.
That is going to be interesting.
Yeah, let's go back and see. Okay, a lot more results have been entered in than we saw before. So looking at the standings, we can see Vanita moving to 8-3 by beating Fergal Weatherhead 477 to 472. Wow, a lot of points being scored in that game. Austin Shin continuing his march up the standings, now at 8-3. Wasim Khatri also winning his game. And yeah, still some more games yet to finish off between some players at 7 wins here. So any thoughts looking over the standings, Sumbul? Some of the players, any surprises to you? Anything like that?
Like I said, Austin Shin coming up, Wasim Khatri coming up, Ola Judge coming up. I think this is like we spoke earlier on when we started the stream. These people weren't in the top 10 or even in the top 5, and now you can see them creeping in. So that's the beauty of Scrabble. It can be unpredictable. It can go this way or that way in just a few rounds.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, this is a 12-round event that's taking place all over the course of one day, which, I mean, that's grueling, right? That's a lot of games to be playing in a single day. So at this point, I think the players are definitely feeling a little bit of that burn. I certainly am. And it just goes to show that if you have good stamina and if the act of playing a game of Scrabble is sort of peaceful and doesn't burn that much energy from you, you can find yourself moving up the standings later on in this way because you're sort of outlasting other players who started quicker, but energy may have decreased over the course of the event. So easier said than done. I'm going to be pretty tired after this, just covering a few games.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
I think stamina is a big part of Scrabble, isn't it? Mental stamina. I think whenever I have played big tournaments, such as like anything lasting over 3 days, my third day is where my brain is like jelly. Don't even ask about Scrabble because my brain just doesn't work. I think stamina comes with practice. What do you say?
Yes, I definitely think that's true. I also think that there is some component to Scrabble and even every mind sport where it actually helps you to be in good physical condition. I know nobody is saying that we're athletes or anything like that, but it's not lost on me that somebody like Nigel Richards, who is in amazing physical condition, he bikes all over the place, he's just in really good shape, he never gets tired. He has seemingly limitless stamina at these events. So again, I'm not comparing myself to a professional athlete or any of us to professional athletes or anything like that. But if you do have good physical conditioning, it can only help you in a long event like this. So there is an element to it that it actually does help if you can avoid getting physically tired in that way. So let me just see if, I see. I'm going to cut back to the game screen just for a minute. We're watching a different game. We can actually go ahead and look at the clinching board for Olaya, and it's possible that any minute now, maybe he already is waiting to come and accept our congratulations. This is his winning board. Let me just make sure that I'm not leaving him in the lurch. Okay, not yet. So we'll see if we can just have a quick moment of congratulations for Olaya, but we do have another round to go here, round 12. Yes. So we have our winner, but we need to decide who is going to be our silver and bronze medalists, so to speak, going into the last game. So we'll just take a look back at the standings, and it could be a lot of people. There's so many players now. We know that Sam Onifade just lost to Tony Sim. So Tony is going to leap ahead into second place because he will have 8.5 wins. That means Tony tied a game earlier in this tournament, which we consider to be a half of a win. So when that score comes in, we'll see Tony Sim in second place, and then many, many, many players at 8 and 3. All of whom most of them, the ones with good spread are the ones that have a chance to finish third. But pretty much anybody is still in the mix to come in those top 3 spots. So
interesting to see who the top 5 are.
Absolutely. Okay, so there's that result. We see Tony moving up to second. And there you have our official standings after round 11. One more round to go. So we'll see what our directors feel is appropriate for the pairings. It could just be, I think we know that Olaya is not going to play any of these players that we see because his position is decided. He is the winner of the Mind Sports Olympiad main event of Scrabble. So one more to go, and those pairings are on their way quickly. So wow, very exciting. I definitely see lots of players I recognize, as I said before. Maybe if we just look further down the standings, why don't we cut to that and see where other players are at in the standings beyond the top 12. So just scrolling down, let's just see. Let me make sure that I'm not cutting it off.
Will, can you please turn up my volume? Some of the people on Twitch are saying they cannot hear me properly.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I see it.
Please let us know.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened. I'll pump it up nice and high. I'm hearing it pretty well on my end. Just give a couple words and we'll see if you pop up high on the volume. Are you looking at the standings right now? Are you seeing any standings further down that are interesting to you?
I am. Yes, I am.
I think that fixed it, I hope. Hopefully.
I'm just trying to refresh it. Just give me a minute.
Yes, I'm just looking at the full listing that goes all the way down to whatever the how many players are here? Let's have a look. 76. Wow, that's great turnout. Really happy to see that. Hopefully that fixed the sound. It's showing nice and healthy sound for you now.
Yes, I hope people on Twitch can confirm that.
I certainly hear it very good locally, so we'll just have to see. Thanks everybody for helping us. Hopefully that wasn't too long-standing of an issue. I hope everybody was able to hear you. I had it pumped up very nice and high, so apologies otherwise. But yeah, I'm just looking at some of these standings. Let's see. I knew that Cesar was doing well. I see Ben Schoenbrunn. Those are two friends of mine, American players. Let's see. Looking down the list, Powell Cheruyat is actually been very active on my streams lately. Just a shout out to Powell for being a very engaged member of the Scrabble community. I
actually don't know who that is.
Yes, he mentioned, I believe, that he is a Kenyan player, and he helped organize the Kenyan team of the World Cup, if I'm not mistaken. We see Dave Koenig there, another very strong American player, has performed very well overseas. Paul Allen at 6-5. So I'm being told Olaya has the Zoom link now. Let me just make sure that I don't lose track of that. Okay, so maybe he'll pop on at some point. Okay, you have it? I think, yeah, well, Chris says he has the link, so we'll see if he pops in. It's totally up to him, of course, but we'd love to give him some congratulations on such a very strong performance. Okay. So I see the pairings are up. There they are. All right. I wonder if these pairings are accurate. Are we... Oh, no, they definitely are accurate. Okay. Because we see Olaya having a bye, and we see Tony in second place playing a Degboyega in third place. And we see Vanita playing Sam Onifade. I wonder if we should watch that game. I think the winners of those top two games will be in the top group. We've seen tons and tons of Adegboyega and not so much of Vanita. I think that would be nice to check in on that game too. So why don't we do that, and we'll cut back and forth as necessary. But I think both of those players will be our quote-unquote medalists here. So let me just add both of them to my buddies, and we'll try to keep on top of both of those games. All right, so for the time being, let's have a look at Tony Sim versus Adegboyega. So we are just at the outset of this game, and Adegboyega, it looks like he opened with PHT, which I'll try to pronounce. I think that's how I would say that, right? That exclamation.
Yeah.
And farther is played by... oh, wait, I'm sorry. I think that was... Hold on. Let me get the list of plays. All right, Adegboyega exchanged. Tony Sim played PHT of fit. That sound you make when you're spitting. And Adegboyega responds with farther. Okay, so now we're all caught up. It's over to Tony now. He has two S's, and obviously PHT as an interjection, that does not take an S. I guess it's not obvious. You could imagine anything in Scrabble taking an S, but that is not possible here. Instead, he plays Rax. I think that was his only vowel. So that could get him into consonant. Move? Yeah, that could get him into consonant overload issues. But there were no S hooks on the board, right? Farther is not, there is no S hook to that word, and there's no S hook to fit as well. So two S's on Tony's rack, and they're not particularly valuable on this board. And he didn't change that by playing racks. There's still no way to put a letter in front of that either. So let me just see. Yeah, I think maybe we'll wait for this game to finish. I don't see Olaya waiting to come into the Zoom right now, but I think either way, we'll see if he's still waiting when this game is complete, and then we'll pop him in if we want to talk to him. Okay, so over to Adegboyega. He's got a blank, but he has a lot of clunk with it. What's your thought about this one, Sumbul?
Like I said, W and U, that just makes me cry. I would try and get rid of it, but I just don't know where at this point. So I try to get rid of Y and U, or just PW, something like that, just to try and balance the rack out. What would you do?
Yeah, I'm just thinking maybe I would just play something like
YUP,
yep. YUP in that spot. Looks like a great way to use your U and Y, keep your blank, score very well. But we have a potential bingo going down here of Tsarism and Yups. I think that's very likely to come down. Maybe there's something. Is there something through the A as well? That looks kind of familiar, but maybe not.
I would have to look that up. No clue.
Yeah, so at the very least, okay, there we see it goes down. Tsarism for 79. Great find by Tony. And I think Adegboyega kept WEB blank. WEB blank, and he drew WU, which is, again...
I think he kept WER blank.
WER? Oh, that's right. Yes, you're totally right, because he could have played a couple other plays through the A that I saw. Yes, you're absolutely right. Oh, look at that nice little fit there. That's great. So
that is great.
He fits the W in between the T and AY, making tway, and he also puts an E there. You could potentially see a hook to ew be played, right? There's another E hook that goes there. Yeah. I guess if you're really disgusted by something, you would say ew with 3 E's. But if you're only a little disgusted, you would say ew with 2 E's. And if you're very, very minimally disgusted, you would just say EW. Yeah. So it's totally up to how nasty you think something is. So back over to Tony. He's got a lot of low point tiles, but he's got duplicate L's, duplicate O's, and no E to go with them. So I don't know. It's one of those racks where you've got low point tiles. You're thinking about bingoing, but I don't think any exist. So that's going to be tough.
Again, the double L and the double O.
Yeah. Those duplicates, we've talked about it before. If you're newer to Scrabble and you're thinking to yourself, well, what's the big deal? What's the problem with having 2 L's and 2 O's? We've talked about it a little bit. Every letter with their own attributes. If you have duplicates of certain letters, it's not as good as when you have 7 different letters. You've got way more options for what all your different letters can do. And it just happens to be a fact about the way words are spelled that most words are spelled with all different letters up and down. So you find that unduplicating your duplicate tiles is a great way to get back on track when that's happened.
Completely agree, yeah.
So Adegboyega is still struggling with these bad draws, and we see WUD. I feel like WUD is one of those words, Sumbul, that if you're a Scrabble tournament player, you just see over and over. Is that true?
Yeah, I think one of my favorites as well. Like I said, it gets rid of the W and the U, so I really like it.
Yes, it should be noted just for the future that WUD does take a U hook as well for Voodoo, so we could potentially see plays go down with a U hook, or I suppose an S as well. If you're coming from a background of the North American lexicon, you know this word WUD as a very defensive move because it does not take any hooks. But in this dictionary, it does allow for 2 hooks to go down as a result. So it's over to Tony. He's up by a small amount, but it's nowhere close for him to feel comfortable here. And I wonder what he will opt to do in this position. I'm looking for underlaps. I feel like if there was a good play underneath floor, that would be a great, great place to score a lot of points, but I'm not seeing a wonderful way to do that. I guess just aid? How about aid? 27 points for AIDE. I guess that's pretty good. I wouldn't mind that here. Does anything look appealing to you here?
I think I was thinking of 8, but I thought that would be a very simple move.
I mean, sometimes the best moves are simple moves.
Simple moves, yeah.
You know, I guess the reason that you would be hesitant to play a move like Aid is that you're really, really close to having a bingo style rack here, and you don't want to use up that E when you're so close to bingoing. But at the same time, the board isn't very good for bingos unless you have an S, right? So if you have an S, you're going to play with tways, you're going to play with Tsarisms. But if you don't have an S, it's a lot tougher to actually fit your bingo on the board. And instead, Tony plays a lit, and oh man, wow. I wonder if we're going to see a big play of something like bronzes. Is bronzist a word? Bronzer, I know, is a noun for skin tanning, but I don't know if bronzist is a word. I'd be scared to try it. It's not a word. So we will not be seeing that word go down.
We might do. It's single challenge. Here you go.
Yeah, bronzes for 96 looks pretty good.
Pretty good. Pretty safe as well.
Yes. Oh, getting word that, okay, I do see Olaya is ready and waiting to come into the chat, to come in with us on Zoom here. So we'll just give a minute to see if this game continues to remain close, but we would love to offer Olaya Kabir our congratulations as well. So just stand by. We'll continue to give coverage of this game, and then we'll bring you just in a few minutes. We will congratulate our winner on his excellent performance. Hopefully he's okay to wait up for us. But if this game gets out of hand, we can cut back to interview early and then see where the standings are. So we'll play it by ear. So Bronze is putting a Degboyega in front here. Tony was up by a fair amount, but that's now reversed. So I wonder...
Too many E's here.
Yeah, this is the rare case where you might have too many E's.
Ooh.
So, yeah, 2 E's are played, leaving, I think Tony just left D-E-I-N-G, which pairs very well with some of the open letters on the board. The T and maybe, I guess, not so much the I of a lit, but probably the T. And obviously, he's created a really nice place to play 7-letter words underneath, potentially hooking Z or Z-E-E. So back over to Adegboyega, who's drawn both V's, which you already don't like to see VU, but VVU is especially horrible to see. So I'm not sure what he's going to do to shed these nasty V's. I guess he could play Vive through the eye of a lit for only 12 points. He could also play Wove from the WO near floor and Wud for 22 points, but it still leaves VU on his rack. So, I don't know.
The game between Vanita and Samuel is on as well. Yes. It's pretty close, so...
Okay, we can absolutely cut to that.
Just going back and forth just to keep on updating.
Thank you very much. That's very, very helpful. We can absolutely cut to that, as I think we're very likely to see a bingo go down here. Dingos, I wonder, does it fit? I guess maybe not. So is it possible that there are no playable bingos here with this incredible rack?
Wow.
I'm just looking. That would be a real frustrating situation
something
here.
With the R? Something with the R?
Yeah, there is a bingo through the R, but it doesn't play on the board of Negroids. Doesn't fit through that R. It goes off the board.
Ooh.
So that's going to be very frustrating for Tony if he has this beautiful looking rack with all low point tiles and an ing in it and a regular word of dingoes, and it just doesn't fit anywhere on the board, which looks like that is what's happening here. So that's frustrating. It looks like Tony's made a couple of plays that were very short, keeping good leaves. So I feel pretty sure at this point that he's going to continue to play shorter words going for that bingo.
Yeah.
So where he ends up playing, I'm not positive where he'll decide to play. But we'll just have to see. It's amazing that he doesn't have anything here. It sure looks like he should, but that's just one of those situations where you just shake your head and say, is that possible? I mean, hopefully somebody is, if we're missing something, I hope somebody's pointing that out in the chat. We absolutely are not flawless here. We're just flying by the seats of our pants here. So
I think it's just annoying, isn't it? Not annoying, but frustrating when you're trying to fish, like let's say for 2 consecutive moves, and you finally get the bonus or the bingo, and it doesn't fit. It's probably the most frustrating moment you feel or go through as a Scrabble player.
Yes, there's no doubt that that's true. And even in this situation, it's not really Tony's fault. Like, the board is open, right? There's spots on the board to play. There's definitely areas to play on this lower row of the board. You've got 2 R's that are open here through bronzes and farther. So there's spots to play. He just happens to have drawn something that doesn't quite work on the board here. So yeah, let's just see what he opts to do. It's possible that he'll just fish off 1 letter here. He could potentially just play his G underneath woe and keep really good letters. Instead, he plays go for 14. So that uses up 1 more letter than just the 1 that he could have played his G off in that spot. So we'll see if he draws. Typically, when you're that close to bingoing, you want to use as few tiles as possible if you can get the same score. So it wouldn't have been the end of the world there if he had just used the G or the O by itself, right? Which he could have done right here with this W hook. He could have played woo in that spot. Okay, so now we're going to see endings be played at the very least down here, and he plays sending. Okay. But a bingo is drawn here of actions and cations. Does that play anywhere? Maybe not. The B, botanics, that doesn't fit. I think this could be another frustrating rack, this time for a Degboyega, that looks pretty good and doesn't fit anywhere. Is that really possible? Actions, atonics.
Let's see what people are suggesting.
I don't know. This could be a toughie. We'll just have to see what he comes up with here.
What would you do in this situation?
I would be considering basically the score of the game is close enough that I don't have to worry so much necessarily about bingoing for sure if I have a good scoring play available. So I would be looking around and I would think to myself, can I score well, right? Like, I would consider playing something like a tonic or action for 29, leaving just the S. Or maybe, what about something ending in T here? I don't know. But I think after looking a bit, you can see that there isn't any great scoring play here, so I would probably opt to play as few tiles as I could. What would I do? I don't know. This is tricky. Potentially you could play... Okay, so he does play a tonic in that spot. So he takes a 3-point lead, and that's certainly not comfortable. Tony is absolutely going to seize the lead back, but he does have a cue that's going to weigh him down going into his next couple of moves here, and he just dumps it right off the bat, which looks correct. Okay, so let's just see. It's going to be tricky. There are good scoring plays on top of go. So reparalleling bronzes. You could see FEY go down there. If Adegboyega wants to continue to go the tack of outscoring. I should also mention that, okay, so he just plays Phi. That looks reasonable. That scores as well as Fei, roughly, but also keeps the E. But I should also mention that TS is kind of an interesting combination of letters because they play on top of WUD, which is a very difficult place to play, especially because Adegboyega's T is the last T available. Tony cannot draw a T and block that spot. So Adegboyega can continue to gun for plays hooking 2, knowing that his T is the final one. Ooh.
Yeah, very interesting. Ooh.
Here's another one of these racks. Ariste, Asteria, Atresia. Boy, this has been the game of racks that don't quite fit, I guess. Is that true?
I think so. We haven't seen a game that's been so frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, this has been pretty wild. A lot of racks here that are very, very close to bingoing, but do not quite fit on this board.
And you were talking about the T as well. Now, either he uses the T or he waits for something like finishing on TS, like you said.
Yeah, I think it's very reasonable to use the A here. And the reason I say that is if you use up your A, right? So look at the rack on the upper left. If you use up the A and leave AEIRST, if you replace it with an E or an I, you would bingo with airiest in that spot, either spelling. So instead he plays Allah, which sort of blocks that area. It uses 2 A's. I guess that's a reasonable idea. There still is, so Allah does take a T hook, so there's still the chance of playing something with Tala in that spot.
But it takes
other stuff too. Yeah, it takes plenty of other stuff as well. It takes a G hook, as you pointed out, and Tony has a G and a blank. So he's going to feel, I bet in Tony's shoes here, he's going to be thinking really hard about making a play that keeps IG blank and going for a bingo ending in Gala. That's a really good point, Sumbul. Instead, he makes a blocking play. Wow. He makes a blocking play just in time. He plays Clegg, and Adegboyega was going to play Re-Knits and Tala in that spot. So I don't know what he's going to do now. Oh, no, he's going to play Re-Knits on the bottom of the board for a huge, huge score.
Ooh.
Oh, man. This is coming down momentarily. We know that. There it is. Re-Knits for 101.
Wow.
Very, very heavy play for Adegboyega to take a nice size lead. For Tony. Not at all. Tony has drawn a bunch of duplicate vowels, too many vowels, and he's going to be hard pressed here to score enough points to keep himself in range. There's 4 tiles in the bag. This was looking good for Tony and just deteriorated very quickly with a huge play of Re-Knits on the bottom of the board. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So it's looking good for Adegboyega, who won our speed event, and it looks like he is likely, to come in second.
Yeah.
In the main
and I think
event.
It wasn't the place where he played that. I think Tony didn't block it because it didn't seem that harmful or dangerous.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I wonder. I mean, the odds of hitting a play with TS in that spot, I guess I was totally wrong for pointing out that the TS was especially good in that spot when obviously it's significantly better in that spot down low. So that was an oversight on my part, of course. I guess the thing about the T spot on top of WUD is that it was a little more flexible. You could imagine plays ending in T as a bingo, or ending in TOI something, TOE. There's a little bit more flexibility on top of WUD, but Okay, Tony fishes off an E. Yeah, boy, this doesn't look like, just looking at the pool at the bottom of your screen from the perspective of a Degboyega, it doesn't really look like there's anything threatening at all here. There's just too many vowels. The only consonant is a B. So with that being the case, I'm quite sure that a Degboyega will just play something that scores decently well and finish off the game. Maybe something like Loam. I don't know. Something in that spot. So this will be a win here for a Degboyega Akinto-kun against Tony Sim.
Just to update on the Venita versus Samuel game.
Oh, let's go look at that game.
Yeah, Samuel is 264, Venita 250. Ooh.
Let's go check in on this game, which I think this game is going to determine the third place player in our event here. So a Degboyega is going to be the silver medalist. We know Olaya Kabir, the gold medalist here. And the winner of this game between Sam Onifade and Venita Balasingam. And this is interesting because Venita has just played Addition. And there are bingos available here of Axites, 82 points. Or you could play it with Sedition as well if you want to, for many fewer points.
Yeah.
So there are bingos available here for Sam. Sam Onifade playing the blue tiles that you see on the screen. Venita playing the red. Wow. There's also the big C hook right here. Share. There's definitely many plays that you could see be played in that spot for a very high score. So this does look like Sam is in control. He's going to take a nice lead after this play, and there we do see Axites go down. So that's very helpful to Sam. I wonder if he's a Nigerian player or from somewhere else, because if that's true, we might have a clean sweep to the Nigerians in the top three. Do you have
try
any...
and find out?
Yeah.
No clue.
Yeah,
probably people on the chat can help out.
I'm sure Olaya can help us when we talk to him. He's waiting in the waiting room to get in here, so we'll talk to him soon. But yeah, Sumbul, do you want to say a few words about the Nigerian Scrabble community, how they've risen to such a prominent status over the last couple decades?
Yes, I think it's been amazing to see so many different players from Nigeria just rising to the top, and the way they play, it's very different to each other as well. Their strategy and their word knowledge, especially like when you look at them, you go like, wow. And especially observing their games, for me as a person who's trying to learn, it's just amazing to watch. What about you?
I totally agree. Yeah, it's just really cool. I've loved seeing different countries like Nigeria, like Pakistan, come on to the scene so strong in the last few years and prove that we really do have a global game. It is not just the United States or the UK or Australia anymore. We have wonderful global influence from all over the world of great Scrabble playing countries, and I really hope that continues. It's been great to see.
Just coming back to the game, JUR, we were talking about...
Oh, wow.
And I think someone on the chat pointed out...
Yeah, I didn't even notice that. I didn't even notice that.
VAUDOU.
That is very surprising. So both of those plays were played by Venita here. And it looks like Sam did not avail himself of the opportunity to challenge those plays. That's surprising. Literally, there's no penalty for challenging. So that is a surprise to not see those words get knocked off the board. I had heard that some players like Ben Schoenbrunn had said that he was literally going to challenge every single play. Right?
To be honest, why not? As a player, you can do that. Some people find it very, I'd say, annoying that why are you doing that, but you have a right to do it. And if you abide by the rules, that's how you play.
Yeah, I mean, there is some gray area there where I think it's more so gray area if you were going to do that in an in-person event where you're literally going to get up and use the challenge computer for every single move. That's a little bit distracting, as we see actually a really, really nice play there by Vanita playing brusque through the U of jur. That's not a valid word, but making sedition with her S. That's a nice way to get rid of some consonants. Question is, will Sam see his bingo of venatic here on the side of the board? That might be the only place that he is able to play a bingo here. He doesn't need a bingo to win. He's up by 50 points here. But that would certainly seal the deal for him if he sees that spot. Oh, I'm sorry, vintage. That's, yeah, of course, the E hook on jur. Now we only have one phony on the board now. By putting this E here, this word is now valid. So that's going to do it for Sam. And I think our top three is basically determined at this point. So
Yeah.
Adegboyega won his game, and Samuel won his game, and by virtue of the higher spread that those players have, Austin Shin came very, very close. If he would have beaten Wasim Khatri by a lot of points, Austin might have snuck into the top three. Let me just cut to the standings and show you the partial results so far. So you can see some of our results are not yet in. Austin currently sitting in second, but we know he's going to be passed by a couple of the players that we've just seen on the stream right now. And again, the tiebreaker is the spread, the margin of victory over the course of all 12 rounds, being tracked by the software, the tournament software our directors are using. So yeah, that's... We'll just watch this game finish up, and I guess once we see that, we can congratulate our winner, Olaya, who's been waiting very patiently in the chat for us.
We can try and get Adegboyega if possible. I would like to know more about him. That would be very interesting.
For sure. Chris has said that he was going to reach out to him to see if he wanted to come on. So we will see if we get him on as well. Wow, what an exciting ride here to the very, very end. Nice play. Oh, Poinado, then Wem, and now there's a Q that Vanita is going to play, I think in the lower left corner of the board.
QIS, I think.
And that's it. So I think that clinches it for the top three spots in the event, being all Nigerian players. Very, very impressive. Okay, so why don't we invite Olaya into the chat? I have actually a special little screen for this, the winner's interview. So let's just see if we can get him. Oh, he's no longer waiting. He must have got tired of waiting. I'm so sorry. Maybe we can issue the proclamation to him that he can come back, and we will for sure get him in. So winner's interview, we are not ready for that. He was in there waiting for such a long time. I'm very sorry. So if he pops back in, we'd be happy to talk to him. I could probably just message him on ISC right now. But anyway, we'll look at the standing screen as those results get entered, and we will have our... Adegboyega says he is installing Zoom, but it is dark. We'll have to see. I would like to at least talk to Olaya as the winner if he's able to come back, but if not, that's okay as well.
I can probably message Olaya on Facebook and see if he's willing to come back.
Well, he's still on ISC too, so I'll just tell him. All right, Chris says he's having Olaya potentially reconnect to the Zoom. And we just want to congratulate him on an amazing performance. So technically, you see on the standings that he's 12-0. Obviously, that is because he received a bye in the final round, having clinched after 11 rounds. So, okay, he is trying again to come on the Zoom, and I will apologize to him for making him wait as we get some of these final results. So... yep, you see Olaya in first, Adegboyega in second, And Sam Onifade is going to vault ahead of Austin Shin and take that third spot.
Yeah. I think well done to Austin Shin. He powered through right at the end,
Absolutely.
as Adrian says on Facebook.
Yeah, really impressive by Austin, who I feel is a very, very focused, unflappable player in my experience. I don't think I've ever seen Austin visibly frustrated about a Scrabble game. And that is a really, we've been talking about how important that is as a characteristic of weathering the ups and downs of Scrabble. We know there is a luck element to Scrabble where sometimes you draw well and sometimes you don't. And if you have that demeanor where it doesn't really affect you when you draw poorly, that's going to allow you to make those comebacks. It's going to allow you to play your best for a long period of time. But it's very difficult to get into that mindset, Sumbul, where you're not affected by the luck element of Scrabble. That's my experience anyway.
Yes, no, I completely agree. Sorry, I was just messaging Olaya as well.
Thank you. Yes, we'll see if we can talk to him briefly. Oh, he says he needs a password now. Maybe I'll just give him a new link. I don't know why. It's no different from before, but let me see if we can work on that and maybe I'll get Chris the link. Sorry for the snafus, folks. We're trying to talk to our winner very soon. I'll try this link and see if it's any different. No, it looks the same. So I'm trying to get an updated link to Olaya. I don't know what the password would be necessarily. I don't have a password up. I'm not sure. Let me just see. Invite. I guess the password, I will message it to him. One second. We'll see. He was in the waiting room for such a long time. It would be such a shame to not get to congratulate him. So we'll just stand by another minute or two and see. We are not quite into the third hour of our stream. I think we came in just in the middle of like round 8.
Yeah.
Obviously, Olaya
just after 8.
Yeah, and Olaya obviously had not lost at that time, and he is not lost now. So he was in first when we came in for our coverage, and he ran the table here very, very impressively. So we'll give it another minute just to see if he is able to pop on and accept our congratulations. But otherwise, we are at the tail end of our stream. I hope everybody has enjoyed watching and found it
I hope so too.
Entertaining and educational. Obviously, these players know a ton of words that are not in everyday language. And I know that the feedback I get a lot is I have never even heard of most of the words that are on the board here. But basically, that's just from repetition. That's from studying the dictionary and from many years, in most cases, of playing Scrabble at a really, really high level. And you start out playing mostly words that everybody knows, and you gradually add more and more words that are in the Scrabble dictionary. And you find yourself getting a comfort level even with words that are somewhat unfamiliar to your average players. So I totally respect that when people say that. Sumbul, when people say to you, I don't recognize any of these words, what do you say to them to help them understand that that's just how we do things?
Like I said, promoting Scrabble is not easy when people go like, these words are not used in everyday English. And it's all about spellings. It's about the love of spellings. It's about using your brain. It's like a puzzle rather than all about the vocabulary. So I think that's usually my way of seeing it and explaining it to people as well, that the reason most of us play Scrabble is the puzzle and the puzzle with spellings. That's how I see it, but I don't know how other people explain that.
Yeah, no, that's as good of an explanation as I can come up with as well. So that's just, as I said yesterday during the speed event, a lot of it is because as players, we fall in love with the strategic element of the game to such a degree that we are willing to accept pretty much anything from the lexicon that we use, even really archaic words that haven't been seen in hundreds of years. Just tell us what the dictionary is, let us learn the words, and then let the magic happen as we actually decide what the good plays are, what we want to play. How do we solve those puzzles, like you said?
Yeah.
So
it's about anagramming as well, isn't it? It's more about
Totally.
anagramming than actually knowing the definitions. Like I think someone mentioned on Facebook, it's dictionary versus the word list.
Yes.
Correctly put.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's just something common that you hear. It's not very satisfying to people who potentially, I'll just cut back as we can look at the final board here, that clinched the bronze position for Sam Onifade, who generously is thanking the organizers in the chat. He says, "Thanks all, what an event. Thanks to Chris, Nat, Wayne, and all the stagers." We, of course, echo that.
Thank you.
I'm not really familiar with, we're saying we have a WhatsApp for Olaya. I'm not really sure what's going on with Zoom. I think I'm inclined to say that rather than just continue to wait, we'll just pass our congratulations on to our medalists right now. I'm not sure. Sorry that it's not working out with the interview. But rather than continue to troubleshoot this live, we are basically at the end of our stream. So let's together, Sumbul and I will pass our congratulations along to Olaya Kabir for an amazing performance, winning the main event here in the Mind Sports Olympiad, main event of Scrabble. And
congratulations.
And to Adegboyega Akintokun for winning the speed event and coming in second in the main event. Wow, that's amazing. Actually, Olaya came in second in the speed event. So between those two guys, 2 gold medals and 2 silver medals. Awesome performance to both. Oh, hey, guess what? We have Olaya after all. Okay, I was about to call it a potential session on that, but let's get Olaya in. And we'll go to our winner's interview. Hold on. Just have to get him set up with our audio.
Hey, exciting. We finally have him now.
I think so. Let me make this nice and big for us.
I'm actually excited to see how he feels and his views on the tournament.
For sure. Yeah. So here we are. We're just waiting to see. And here he comes, our winner, Olaya. Not sure if it will be video and audio. There he is.
Hey, hello, Olaya.
He's connecting. Yeah, he's connecting as soon as we... there we go. There he is. Olaya, congratulations on an awesome performance. It was a lot of fun to watch you play. How are you feeling right now?
Well, thank you very much to start with. I feel great. I feel very, very great. Especially with the field. It's a very tough field. We have very great players in those fields. So David Koenig is there, Austin Shane is there, and so on. It's a very tough field. I feel very great about my victory.
You absolutely should. It was super impressive. Sumbul, do you have any questions you'd like to ask Olaya here before I ask one or two?
Yes, I think my one question that's been hitting me is, what was one game where you felt really nervous and went like, oh my God, this is like getting out of hands? You know, when like I would say it kicks in that I'm nervous, I have to be calm and win this game.
I think it's the game against Faster Week. It was a very close game. I think at one point in the game, I missed a bingo in one of the games. I can't really remember who. I missed Camlets. There was Alec. There was ALE. I was supposed to hook it with a C. I didn't see it. But shortly afterwards, I came back and used the F for folate. So I think that was the only time I felt was like, wow, why would I miss such a bingo and blah, blah, blah. So,
it did look.
That was the only time.
Yeah, it did look like you were in some close games that we saw. We saw a lot of the games. We came in basically at the middle of round 8 to start our coverage, and by that point, you were 8-0 and pretty firmly in command. So we kept watching you continue your undefeated run. And there were a couple moments in those games that were close, but in each case you held your nerve and kept going and basically ran the table, which is incredibly impressive. So that was really cool. So it's basically a clean sweep, we think, for Nigerian players in the top 3. So that really, I think, if I'm not mistaken anyway, maybe I'm sure you would know that better than we do, but that says a lot about the strength of the Nigerian Scrabble group as a whole. What are your thoughts on that?
Is very why I didn't get that.
I think we'll get him stabilized in a second. I bet.
Yeah.
We'll just let him know that it's the connection a little unsteady just for this part. We'll see. Getting a message on ISC. And we potentially can have Adegboyega pop on. Not sure what's happening with Olaya, but if Adegboyega wants to pop in, we should let him go into Zoom too. Hopefully Olaya stabilizes. There we go. Okay, yeah. Sorry, we lost you for a moment there. We had just asked a question about the Nigerian Scrabble scene as a whole, how strong it is, and what a testament it is that we think that it was all top 3 Nigerians in today's tournament. Looks like it froze up again, maybe. Yes. Oh, that's too bad. We'll just give it another minute and hope that it stabilizes. We got some great thoughts from Olaya, though, about when it seems like he only had one game where he came away from it thinking, oh, there we go. Think we got you back.
Yeah, I'm back on now.
Okay. So, yeah, I guess if you had any thoughts about my question, see if we can continue on.
Sorry, you said about the network went off when you were about to start saying what you already said. You're saying something about top Nigerian players, and I didn't get the rest of it. So I actually switched back to another Wi-Fi, to I think the stronger one.
I was just saying that it looks like it was all top three spots were Nigerian players, and I just was going to say I found that to be really impressive, and just in general, that the Nigerian Scrabble scene continues to grow and just flourish and produce a number of really, really strong players. I just wondered what your thought was on that, being a part of that scene, and how it's helped you as a player to become so strong.
Well, first of all, Nigeria, we have this belief of anything we're doing is worth doing well. And if you want to play Scrabble, you have to play at the top. If not, there's no point. So if you're playing for leisure, then maybe sit home and play with your family, your kids and your wife.
Wow.
So welcome. And if you know, for I think 3 World Championships running now, Nigeria has been the best team, the best player in Scrabble Nation, Westphal. So, and every day we see, though we have some familiar faces that keep returning to the scene, but once in a while we get some new faces that come up, like the World Championship at Goa. We have Enoch Nwali, that was his first, and he came 5th.
That's right.
You know, and yeah, so that's how it happens. A lot of people are trying to come up. The senior ones still keep buckling up. If you relent, the kids are going to take over from you. So yeah. I think it's competitive, so everybody wants to be at the top. That's just what I know.
Well, it's definitely, I mean, there are so many strong players from that area, and I think it's funny how there's definitely a competitive mindset where, as you said, anything that's worth doing is worth doing well. So maybe if you're not willing to invest that time, then just play with your family and leave the tournament scene alone. That's a great, I mean, what better way to produce elite players than to have that attitude? So yeah, that's we just wanted to congratulate you for a job very, very well done. And we're very impressed, and I guess with that, I think we're going to see if we can talk also to Adegboyega. Are you familiar with Adegboyega as well? Were you aware of his strength as a player? He's surprised us with how well he's played both yesterday and today.
Yeah, well, actually, honestly speaking, is one of the averagely good players. But you can't say what people are doing behind closed doors. A lot of people are practicing, reading, and so on. So he's a good player, but like maybe he may not be in the league of the likes of me, Wellington, and the rest of us, but he's a very, very good player as well. So I think maybe all thanks to lockdown, in the last 3 months, he has really gone back to dust his books and has been really proving some points, So I just hope to see more of that in the real scene when we get back to physical Scrabble.
That's true. Yeah, there's definitely people that could be using this time to learn a ton of words and to be playing and learning strategy so that finally when we can get back to playing in person, they're going to burst onto the scene and win a ton of games. So maybe he's an example of that. That's we'll just see. We'll have to talk to him shortly. If you wanted to stay on, that's cool, but we just wanted to congratulate you a bit, ask you a couple questions. Sumbul, any more questions for Olaya?
No, Olaya, I think I just want to say, with the pandemic hitting us, how do you feel? Like, have you been practicing a lot, playing a lot? Because I know personally a lot of people have been giving time to Scrabble. Have you been doing that?
Well, I've actually been doing more of reading because, there's no way we can play. It's only on ISA.
Yeah.
And I have a couple of strong players I play with, and I do more of reading, Scrabble, you just have to keep reading so that you don't forget the little ones,
That's right. We were just talking about that, how you put the words in and then more of them fall out, and you just gotta keep going with that. So, yep. We all know how that feels. So, all right. Well, thank you so much. Oh, sorry. Continue. I didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah, I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
About yesterday's game, I actually felt if the playoff was necessary, my opinion, maybe next time something like that wants to happen, I think it's fair if we can have maybe a best of 3 at least, not just a one game thing.
For sure. I mean, as a Scrabble player myself, I absolutely would prefer more Scrabble to decide the winner. I think it was probably just it was just one of those things where we did the playoff. I think the organizers of MSO felt it would be very exciting, maybe not necessarily fair to the players who believe themselves.
Actually, I'm not feeling any bad about it because I played the final. But we were not aware before the game. It was just after the proper game that we were told that it's gonna be a one game thing. It's not. If we were aware right from the beginning, I would have said the same. It doesn't matter if it was me or any other person. I just felt one game is not really.
It's not enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think me and Will were having this conversation earlier as well, that it for Scrabble players, long endurance tournaments are good, but knockouts is not good because you can get to that top 3 or top 5 and not make it to the first position because of the knockout. It's probability and luck and everything else affecting that position.
Yeah, there's no question what you're saying is absolutely true, and that it would be better to have more games in a playoff. But just from a spectator standpoint, it is exciting to have a game that counts for everything, even though we know as players you can't judge from just one game. You need a lot of games. So I totally understand what you're saying. So hey, I'll never say no to more Scrabble. So if we do this again and we want a longer playoff, I'm all for it. So let's see what happens. All right, thank you so much for hopping on with us. Congratulations again, and thanks for
thank you guys.
Thanks for playing and putting on a great show.
Thank you, Lara.
All right,
thank you. This is not your first time interviewing me. I'm used to that.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yep. Congratulations. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
All right, now let's see if we can talk to Adegboyega. I'm having him join. I think he was waiting for a while.
I think so, yes. I think he was.
I'm having him join now. We'll see what's going on. He said it was dark. potentially where he is. Okay, here he is. He may just have audio. We'll just have to see if he's got any video as well. As soon as he connects. Okay. Can you hear us, Adegboyega? I think your microphone is muted right now. Let me see if maybe
Yeah, I think he has unmuted it.
I'm trying to unmute. Okay, I see. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Very
Hello.
nice. Hello. Welcome. Congratulations on coming in second in the main event today and winning the speed event yesterday. How did that feel to you?
I feel very great. Thank you for this opportunity.
Oh,
It's
of
actually my
course.
first major winning.
Very nice. So this you would consider this to be the highlight of your Scrabble career so far?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
You would consider this to be the top moment of your Scrabble career so far, the highlight of your career so far?
Yes, yes.
Well, yeah.
Adegboyega, I just have one question from you. Are you planning to play, of course, I'm sure you have been studying a lot. Are you planning to play any international tournaments? Because this performance was outclassed. We want to see this. We want to see this young talent coming up and, you know, just showcasing the world that young people do actually have talent to do something like this.
Yes, I do. But I know I still have a very long way to go. I might not be going into that soon, but probably in the next maybe 2 years or so. I want to first start with probably national recognition first.
Of course, yes. And we were just talking to Olaya about the strength of the Nigerian Scrabble scene, and that if you are able to prove yourself in Nigeria, you should be successful anywhere. So that would be a great start. Obviously, we have the pandemic to think about before we return to live play. But as Sumbul said, we will be very eager to see you out there in first in the Nigerian nationals and hopefully at some point overseas, because you are clearly really, really strong. We saw it on both events, and we will love to see that on the world stage as well. Just wanted to thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you for this platform.
Thank you. Just one more question. How different did you find the two
Sorry, I didn't get
formats? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yes. So I was. So
Actually,
my question was. Go on. I think you have heard the question.
Okay, I'm more of a speed person. I think fast under small time. And I prefer Blitz Scrabble to, how I put it, to the normal 20 minutes tournament time. But this was like an eye-opener because it was like a battle of strategies. I'm trying to control the board, my opponent is trying to control the board, and I actually met a lot of tough players, and this is like my biggest Scrabble achievement so far.
That's great. That's amazing. No, that's good to hear your view on it as well, that you prefer speed Scrabble over normal 20-minute Scrabble. Just one more question. How do you study? Do you do card box or do you read over the list?
Yes, I do with Diva. I actually do quizzes.
Quizzes.
Most times I take probably I can just take the probability from first to 500, learn that, move to the next 500. Then I can also go to bingo formulas, 8 letter words, 7 letter words, heavy vowels. I'm not sure. I just strategic reading. From what I notice, I pick well. I use it to brush up my game. Probably I'm someone that picks vowel a lot, so I learn vowel every word.
No, that makes complete sense. Thank you so much. Congratulations again. Will, any questions?
No, that was just, again, wanted to reiterate, we were very, very impressed. And, congratulations on your first place finish yesterday and second today. And we wish you continued success, as eventually we will return to live play, and we'll be very excited to see how things go for you over the board as well. So thank you so much for hopping on with us, and we really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, very good. So there we have it. We've got our two winners from today and yesterday. Let me just get us back in our normal spots. Hold on. So, all right. So I think we've got our thoughts from our two winners today and yesterday. I think it's been a wonderful 2 days of play with the Mind Sports Olympiad Scrabble events. I think that's probably, it's getting late for UK folks like yourself, so I think this will be a good stopping point for our stream. But just want to thank you, Sumbul, for co-commentating, and obviously all the event organizers, and I'll let you have the last word on your thoughts on these events.
Sorry, I lost you, Will.
Oops, I was just thanking you and all the event organizers, and I was going to say I would let you have the last word on your thoughts on the weekend's action.
Yes, thank you. Firstly, thank you so much. You have been amazing. Thank you to, of course, Chris, Natalie, Wayne for organizing this tournament, and of course MSO for giving us this opportunity. And I think the biggest thanks goes to people who have been watching us, and I hope we did them a good service and they enjoyed it. Otherwise, yes, thank you for supporting us. Like I said, Scrabble is, of course, in these very unprecedented times. We are facing a pandemic and not a lot of people are interacting with each other. This is my first time being on ISC or commentating on a game or just related to Scrabble in like 6 months. So I feel honored to be here, and this has given me a kick to get back into it. So thank you, everyone, and it was lovely to be here.
Sounds good. So echoing everything Sumbul said, I think we're going to call it a stream. So thanks everyone for watching, and until we meet again with more Scrabble coverage, hopefully this can still be a thing even after we get back to over the board play. But for now, we thank everyone for watching, and have a good rest of your weekend, everybody. Bye.